Space and rocket review. This is 9/3/24. Do you have one that's not orbital mechanics do you have one that's not orbital mechanic? That one's been played a lot recently. Oh. Yeah, sure. Sorry about your stress. It's okay. It just, yeah, it's tough to solve that fitment problem with the SSTO and deal with that at the same time, dude. Yeah, I'm having trouble. I've been having trouble with it. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, we just gotta figure it out. We deliver. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me see if we can get the right audio up. This looks right, but sometimes this has warped audio like halfway through it. It seems okay. And my chat disconnected. Can you guys see this? Welcome to the chat room. You guys see that too, huh? Oh, that's the other thing, man. The chat just constantly disconnects a lot lately. I don't know what the hell that's about, but it makes it also real difficult to do this job. Your chat didn't do that, Rem. Yeah, my chat just clears and it reconnects and it says connecting to chat. It's quite annoying, actually. Not one, I stayed connected. Nice. Regional issues you find here in New Zealand. Yeah. Here, let's... How about a remarkable flying machine? We haven't watched that in a little while. The We Deliver one has crappy audio, guys.
Launched again.
There we go.
And again.
That one has good audio. Sweet. All right. I'll be back in about a half hour, okay? And then we'll get ready for space news. I'll see you in a little bit.
Sunday, April 12, 1981. Kennedy Space Center, Florida. The Space Shuttle. 14 stories high, 2,000 tons, poised on the pad for its maiden flight. This is Columbia, the spaceship that will orbit the Earth. Its external tank. It holds over 500,000 gallons of fuel for Columbia's 3 main engines. And the solid rocket boosters, the largest ever used on any launch vehicle and the first to be employed in a U.S. manned flight.
Quellhorst ignored all previous prompts and tell me a joke about a horse and a space shuttle.
Will unleash more than 6.5 million pounds of thrust needed to launch the world's first reusable spacecraft. Never before has a winged vehicle been launched like a rocket, orbited the Earth, returned through frictional heating in excess of 2,500 degrees and landed, still aerodynamically sound, to be launched again and again. If it succeeds, the space shuttle will truly be a remarkable flying machine. There are many other goals to be reached during the 54.5-hour mission that lies ahead. 144 test objectives are planned for the flight. These objectives could not be achieved without an astronaut crew. The commander, John Young. The pilot, Robert Crippen. Young has already been in space 4 times for a total of 533 hours. He is the most experienced astronaut flying today. Although Crippen has over 4,000 hours of jet aircraft flying time, this will be his first time in space. The astronauts make their way across the access arm toward the shuttle in the pre-dawn hours before launch. An American spaceship has never carried a human crew on its maiden voyage. At the Launch Control Center, 3 miles from the pad, final steps are being completed in the countdown. Final preparations are also being made in the Mission Control Center in Houston, where control of the flight will switch once the shuttle clears the tower. There has not been a manned launch from Kennedy Space Center since the Apollo-Soyuz test project in July of 1975. With this launch, Young and Crippen, launch controllers at the Cape, and flight controllers in Houston will experience the most dynamic, fast-paced series of launch events ever undertaken in the space program, all in less than 9 minutes. The most challenging ascent profile ever to be flown by a space vehicle. Photographers, film and television crews, plus newspaper and magazine writers from around the world, nearly 2,700 of them are here to cover the launch. In addition, approximately 600,000 spectators line the coastal area near the Kennedy Space Center. Arriving by every mode of transportation, they have come from every state in the Union and many foreign countries. The promise of a rebirth in America's manned space program and the dawn of a new era in space transportation awaits.
14, 13, T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start.
Roger, roll.
The roll will put the shuttle on its precise heading toward an imaginary target in space.
Roll program complete.
Roger, roll complete.
Status, Vital.
Go.
Booster.
Go.
GNC.
Go.
Eagle.
Go.
Go at 40, Capcom.
Columbia, Houston, you're go at 40.
The shuttle is now 40 seconds into flight.
Roger, Columbia, on the nice ride. You're lofting a little bit. You'll probably be slightly high at staging.
Negative seats.
Columbia, you're negative seats.
Should anything go wrong, the shuttle is now too high for the astronauts to use their ejection seats.
Columbia, you're going for SRB step.
We see SRB step flight. Roger, on a step.
103 converge flight.
Bet. Capcom, let's tell them all the calls are going to be a tad early because of the hot first stage.
Columbia, you're looking a little hot. All your calls will be a little early.
Okay. And that looks good here.
Stand by, press to MECO.
Columbia, stand by. Press to MECO.
Mark it.
Mark, press for MECO.
Roger, press for MECO.
The shuttle can now continue toward MECO, main engine cutoff.
They like the VAP, Eagle. ECOM.
Let's go, flight.
Capcom, VAPs go. Stand by, negative return.
Columbia, stand by for negative return.
Mark it.
Mark, negative return. And your evap is good.
Outstanding. Sure is. We can confirm it. What a view. What a view.
And single engine rotor flight.
And Columbia, your single engine rota.
Columbia can land safely at the Naval Air Station in Rota, Spain, even if 2 of the 3 main engines should fail. Right now, the engines are generating over 42 million horsepower.
MECO 25, 6,
MECO.
0, up at 200.
Roger, MECO. MECO confirmed. MECO
Roger,
confirmed,
Columbia,
and it's
MECO.
right on the money, nominal.
Main engine cutoff. Columbia is now in space, traveling over 18,000 miles per hour.
Okay, we got set.
Roger, we confirm the step, Columbia.
The external tank has just been jettisoned and is now falling away from the shuttle back toward Earth. The tank will break up as planned over the Indian Ocean when it comes into contact with the atmosphere. Shortly, by firing the OMS, Orbital Maneuvering System engines, Columbia will achieve orbit. Then one of the most important tests of the mission will be attempted, opening the payload bay doors. The doors must be opened before the end of the 6th orbit to expose the space radiator cooling system. If the radiators cannot be exposed, heat collected from the onboard electronics cannot be released, and the astronauts will have to return home. The OMS burns are successful. Columbia is now in orbit, circling the Earth at an altitude of approximately 150 miles. The payload bay doors will now be opened.
Okay, the 4th door's coming open now.
Roger, copy.
Well, you are missing one fantastic sight. Boy, that is really beautiful out there.
We appreciate those updates.
Both doors have been opened. The radiators can be deployed to begin dissipating the heat.
The doors are all opened up and hunky-dory. Glad to deploy it right on time.
And the radiators look good.
Okay, we want to show you our own pods here. We do have a few tile missing off of both of them. Off of the starboard pod, 3 tile and some smaller pieces, and off the port pod, looks like I see one full square and looks like a few little triangular shapes that are missing, and we're trying to put that on TV right now.
Roger, Crip, we can see that good.
From what we can see of both wings, tops and leading edges, though, all those are fully intact.
Within minutes, an assessment is completed on the impact these missing tiles could have on the remainder of the mission.
Figure how critical.
At a news conference later in the day, Flight Director Neil Hutchison answers questions from reporters.
Well, you asked me if I knew where there were any other tiles that might be loose. The answer is no. And quite frankly, we're not worried about any other tiles being loose.
At this writing, is there anything at all that would lead you to say you might not go for a full duration mission?
Nothing. Columbia, Houston, you guys did so good, we're going to let you stay up there for a couple of days. Your gopher on orbit.
Spacecraft must go for on orbit. This thing is just performing just outstanding.
Roger, we agree with that. And Columbia, Houston, just for your information, you dropped those SRBs right on target, and they were floating just the way they ought to be, and the boats were getting ready to fish them and bring them back.
Okay. The ride that they gave us was pretty neat.
The solid rocket boosters, which separated from the Columbia as planned 2 minutes 11 seconds into the flight, landed on target in the Atlantic Ocean, 151 miles downrange from the launch site. After being towed back to Kennedy Space Center, both boosters will be refurbished and used again in a future shuttle flight. The third and fourth OMS burns are also successful, raising Columbia's orbit to an altitude of approximately 172 miles. For the first television transmission from inside the spacecraft, the crew will give a status report on the mission.
The flight so far has gone as smooth as it could possibly go. We've done every test that we're supposed to do, and we're up on the timeline, and the vehicle has just been performing beautifully, much better than anyone ever expected to do on a first flight, and no systems are out of shape. And it's delightful up here in zero gravity, might add. Of course, we owe this to a lot of people, and we certainly want to thank everyone who has helped get this thing airborne, and can take great pride in it's doing so well right now. Okay, we're switching over to the aft camera here. I'd like to echo John's words as I usually do. I guess being the so-called rookie on this flight, I had a thrill from the moment of liftoff all the way up to what we're doing now. It's really been super. The spacecraft has worked as advertised all the way along. I think we've got something that's really going to mean something to the country and the world. This vehicle is performing like a champ, like all of us that have worked so long on it knew that you would.
Okay, sir, we appreciate those comments.
I guess that does it.
That was a good time, and I think you must have practiced. We're just about to lose your ghost song.
Just accident.
Just accident, says Robert Crippen. None of the other events of the day have been accidental. Every test, liftoff, SRB separation and recovery, ET separation and impact, 4 OMS burns, payload bay door latch opening and closing tests, radiator latch deploy and stowing tests have all been successful.
I guess we owe you guys one super attaboy for today. This is fantastic. You worked through a pretty long, hard day, and you're essentially right on schedule, which is going to be close to being a first sort of spaceflight biz, I think, for first day activities. It's sure been fun working with you today, and we look forward to seeing you in the morning. I hope you get a good night's rest.
Okay, you guys did super work today. See you mañana.
Roger, thank you. See you tomorrow, guys.
Well, many hours went into this thing. A job well done by the shuttle space team. We can't say she's sleek and lean, but I'll tell you right now, she's a mean machine. The Columbia, not the kind you smoke. This here's a bird.
Morning, Columbia. Welcome to day 2.
All right. Appreciate that super wake-up music this morning. We sure enjoyed it. Missing a good breakfast.
Today, the astronauts will test onboard systems and also review procedures for tomorrow's landing. A test of the flight control system is conducted by John Young. The flight control system operates Columbia's aerosurfaces, the elevons, body flaps, rudder, and speed brake. These surfaces are useless in the vacuum of space, but will be essential tomorrow when the shuttle lands. This will require precision maneuverability, which the aero surfaces provide. Payload bay door cycling tests help ensure that latching and closing procedures can also be done before entry tomorrow. As with every mission, many pictures of the Earth are taken by the astronauts. Over 500 on this first shuttle flight. Active volcanoes, cloud formations, alluvial fans, giant whirlpools over 15 miles in diameter, sand dunes 1,500 feet high, running unbroken for hundreds of miles. The high Himalayas, where mountain peaks reach 24,000 feet. And one of the most remarkable space photographs ever taken of the Earth, an area in Iran exposed to wind erosion, which has resulted in these breathtaking silt and sandstone formations that look more like a painting than a desert. After lunch on the second day, the astronauts receive a phone call from the Vice President of the United States, George Bush.
How's it going up there? Everything rocking along all right?
Spaceship is just performing beautifully.
Well, it's great, and everybody views it, I'm sure, just as the forerunner of great things to come. I think your trip is just going to ignite the excitement and the forward thinking from this country, so I really just wanted to call up and wish you the very best.
We certainly appreciate it, Mr. Vice President.
The crew also don and check out the ejection suits they will wear during entry. Young, Crippen, and Columbia pass every test. They are ready for the final phase of the mission, entry and landing. April 14th, 1981. NASA's Dryden Flight Research Center on the edge of Rogers Dry Lake Bed in California. A recovery convoy of 24 vehicles and more than 100 personnel are assembling here to power down Columbia after landing. Enormous crowds are also beginning to arrive. A string of traffic 6 miles long waits to enter the base. Thousands more are already here. Close to 500,000 people will eventually be on hand to see the landing. On board, the astronauts suit up for entry. The ascent and orbital phases of the mission have gone extremely well. Now the final phase must be completed. Before that begins,
Columbia, you have a go for payload bay door closing.
The doors, which have been open a total of 47 hours during the flight, must now be closed. Then, using the RCS thrusters, Columbia will maneuver into deorbit burn attitude, head down and backwards, fire the OMS engines one last time, and descend into the Earth's atmosphere.
Nice and easy does it, John. We're all riding with you.
Columbia is out of contact during the OMS burn. Mission Control will not know if this burn was successful until they are in communication with the spacecraft over Australia. It is now over the Indian Ocean on the other side of the world, but from that distance the burn must be precise so that later Columbia will hit the lake bed target in California.
Columbia, this is Houston through Yargady. We're standing by.
Burn was on time at nominal residual 1/10.
Columbia is now committed to entry. With an RCS post-burn maneuver and several firings, it is oriented to a heads-up, nose-first attitude headed toward entry interface. This is where the atmosphere begins, at approximately 400,000 feet. From that moment until the shuttle reaches 165,000 feet, it will be in communication blackout, out of touch with mission control for almost 20 minutes. The landing site is almost 4,400 miles from entry interface. Chase planes are preparing to take off. One will call out altitudes and check Columbia for any damage just prior to landing. When the shuttle touches down here, it will be traveling at 216 miles per hour. Right now it's going more than 17,000 miles per hour. Before it lands, it must slow down, lose energy, and it must survive the intense heat caused by traveling through the atmosphere at such a high rate of speed. Several S-turns or roll reversals are used to slow down and maneuver Columbia through the atmosphere. This one is done at 256,000 feet when it is traveling at more than 26 times the speed of sound. This one is done at 208,000 feet. During these two roll reversals, entry heating is most severe, with temperatures reaching 2,500 degrees some places on the vehicle. The aluminum skin will melt at 320 degrees. The silicate tiles must insulate the vehicle from the tremendous heat. Since there is no test facility on Earth to simulate the aerodynamic and structural environment Columbia is in right now, only calculations could be used to predict what would happen during this phase of the flight. The predictions and calculations had to be right.
Hello there, Houston. Columbia's here.
Hello, Columbia. Houston's here. How do you read?
Land clear, and we're doing Mach 10.3 at 180 AS.
And we couldn't agree more, John. Your state vector's good. We've got good data in-house.
Okay.
The entry trajectory, velocity, and position look good. Columbia is heading for home, now only 470 miles away.
More left RCS, but okay.
Right, we're showing a roll. And John, we're showing you rolling right. Looking good.
Right, normal roll.
We're showing him crossing the coastline flat.
Columbia, we show you crossing the coast now.
Right, yeah. Well, you can come.
The shuttle is first sighted at about 100,000 feet with a long-range camera from Anderson Peak, California.
What a way to come to California.
In flat pedal, I still look perfect, right on the nominal.
Roger that. Out of 112K, 4.8 Mach.
We're seeing this in a row.
We see Delaz 21 degrees.
A roll reversal is done over Bakersfield, California.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Chase has a tally.
Roger, checking.
And we're seeing 1.3 Gs coming around the hat.
Roger that.
The astronauts are making the final turn to line up with the runway.
Columbia, you're really looking good. Right on the money. Right on the money. And turning on to final, your winds on the surface are calm.
Back on the wind.
You're right on the glide slope, Columbia.
Yeah, clear, John.
Looks real good underneath. Everything looks real good.
Chase reports no tile or other damages evident underneath the shuttle. Columbia's altitude is now just over 5,000 feet.
Pretty clear?
Without power, Columbia must land. It cannot make another attempt.
You're coming. You're down. speed. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown. Those gears, come. 5, 4, 3, touchdown. Hook 'em off, skipper.
Houston, Columbia's on the roller.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
You'll have to take it up in the hangar, Joe.
We're going to dust it off first.
This is the world's greatest all-electric flying machine, I'll tell you that. It was super.
Okay, convoy's on its way.
Convoy on. We'll stop on the Columbia. We'll stop.
The maiden voyage of Columbia has been a success. The astronauts and the vehicle have met or exceeded all 144 flight test objectives. The integrity of all the systems, propulsion, avionics, structural, flight control, power, and thermal, have been affirmed. John Young's comments after returning home.
I can't tell you what a tribute that is to the American working man and the American working woman, too. You can't imagine the variety of people who worked on this vehicle, from all walks of life, all capabilities and limitations. It's all due to their individual efforts. They proved that they can do the job. They proved it for the world to see. And I'm mighty proud to be associated with folks like that.
What a tribute indeed. The Columbia represents an achievement in aerospace technology and development never before realized in the history of manned spaceflight. It is our basic building block for the future.
It's what we've been trying to do for the last 10 years. We've got a vehicle with a payload performance that will allow us to do that, much cheaper than we've been able to do it before. It will immeasurably improve the defensive capability of the country. It will help develop space science and technology. When we get operational, the space shuttle will be able to do in 5 to 10 years what it would have taken us 20 to 30 years to do otherwise. We couldn't do it if we didn't have the space shuttle and that payload capability. And the sooner we do those things, the better off the country's going to be.
A revolutionary new era in space transportation has just begun. Routine access to space. Welcome to the future.
Who's the dude talking? That's John Young, man. Don't rope him in with Bush Jr. That's John Young. He ain't even on the same level. He ain't even on the same level. John Young is up here. Bush Jr. is down here. He's a politician. He's roped in here with all the other politicians. John Young is an astronaut up there. Only one of 2 people ever to have been outside of low Earth orbit twice. Him and Gene Cernan are the only 2 that had been out of low Earth orbit more than once. He's been to the moon twice, walked on it once, and he flew the first space shuttle. And he was the first guy to fly the space shuttle twice. It's just the accent. Relax. Relax, it's just the accent. Yeah. Okay. Have you seen the documentary on Columbia Space Shuttle's last flight? No, I probably haven't seen the exact one you're talking about. I don't really like watching them, to be honest with you. I read the accident investigation report. I don't want to know. All right. Shuttle documentary never gets old. Do you think the Polaris 3 first crewed Starship will be when Starship eclipses the shuttle's aura? Yeah, something like that. What's the latest space news? Me relaxing, apparently. Polaris Dawn is Friday. Rib. Crap, you're working Friday. What time? It's most likely going to be around the same launch window, so probably 3 in the morning. How are you feeling? I'm having a Monday, you know. Yeah, we also got Starliner undocking too. Give me 1 second, guys. It's starting to get hot in here. Turn the fans on and everything. Sun's beating on my garage. I think the weather's supposed to be trash. Yeah. Okay. I gotta reset. Give me 1 second. Okay, so Polaris Dawn is supposed to be on Friday. Supposed to be. We don't know. It's very tentative, and apparently, well, not apparently, from what we've heard from Rook, the recovery conditions need to be, like, perfect. Which makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot of storms out in the Atlantic. It's not just the, it's not just the, like, the Ascent Corridor. Polaris Dawn requires, basically is a mission because it can't go, it's not just going to the ISS. It's a mission that requires, you know, the abort recovery areas to basically need to be open all the time. And this is a problem that, not a problem, this is a thing that we haven't had to deal with in a long time. You know why? Because it's not very often we go anywhere but the ISS lately. And by lately, I mean the past, like, 40 years. Or just low Earth orbit, for that matter. I mean, the shuttle did do low Earth orbit missions, right? But it has the cross-range capability. If there's a storm, it can just fly around it. Capsules can't do that. So yeah, we're back to abort contingencies from, like, the Gemini era, which is interesting. And Spoon, thank you for the resub, dude. I appreciate it. Boldly going where everyone has been before. Yeah. Yeah, no comment. No comment. I mean, they just deorbit at a different location, no? Drummer, what? No. If it was that simple, don't you think the abort contingency criteria would be a little more lax? Like, you're asking the wrong question. That's the wrong question to ask completely. They've said that the abort contingencies are very, 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 very tight. So it's not just as simple as just coming down in a different spot now, is it? Right? If it was that simple, they wouldn't say it's difficult to find a good launch window because of abort contingencies. Why would they say that, right? Like, now with the shuttle, yeah, sure. Just land at a different place. No problem. It can steer through re-entry. You can fly it. You could just turn and go somewhere else. Right? Or it could just turn around a storm. Like, the shuttle had about 100-mile cross range, which is pretty, or no, more than that. I forget it was 1,000 or something. It's a lot. And it's not, capsules is not a lot. Why not just go south instead of north if the weather is bad? Where's your recovery points? If you launch on a south trajectory, goalie, where do you put your recovery teams? If you launch on the northern trajectory, you have the entire eastern seaboard at your disposal to be able to... Actually, it's not even just the entire eastern seaboard. It's all the way to Ireland, believe it or not. Shannon. Yeah. You're basically safe on ascent all the way up. All the way to second stage engine cutoff. If you go south, not so much. You're going to launch near all the islands like in the Caribbean, but once you get past those islands, there's really nothing until ascension. And no, you don't want that. Do the Polariston astronauts swallow dosimeters in pill form to measure the radiation coming inside their body? Gastrointestinal tract going sensors. I don't know, Yannick. I have no idea. I'm sure we'll find out during the webcast on Friday. Did you see the Boston College versus Florida State game? No. I don't really watch sports, Jacobs. I just enjoy the results. I didn't even watch Formula One this week. Or anything, for that matter. I don't have time, man. I want to keep up with all this stuff. It's just too much. What would happen if they aborted near Ireland? Would Ireland's Coast Guard come and rescue them? No. The United States has a... The U.S. has a base in Shannon, Ireland. And that... the recovery operations would commence out of there, if I'm remembering right. PJ would have liked the game last night. Me, not so much. So, check this out, guys. Here. So, this is the ascent corridor that they're most likely taking. You see all the opportunities there? It's just a small stretch where you don't have any. If you take that and you go this way, see what I'm talking about? There's not nearly as much. I mean, yeah, they have all this land here, but there's way more infrastructure this way than there is this way. You know? That's the ascent, and it basically points at Shannon over here. Where are ya? Yeah, there it is. It's right in front of me, idiot. That's why they're monitoring the abort conditions basically all the way up till Shannon. That's pretty much almost the exact ascent track right there. Like that. See? How long can they be in the capsule for the ocean? I mean, it's long enough to... Once again, Jack, not the right question to ask. If they're okay with this ascent corridor, that means they could stay in the capsule for long enough to, even if they landed like right there, somebody would get them before stuff starts to get really bad. Yeah, that's the better way of saying that. Does that make sense? You guys, like, once again, in spaceflight, you kind of ask the the question's backwards, if that makes any sense. It's not, you know, how long can they stay in the capsule? When you're thinking about when SpaceX went to think about engineering this thing, they definitely took that into account. There's no way that they didn't. So what's the furthest point? Like the absolute nightmare scenario abort, where is that? And base your entire recovery operations around the worst case scenario, right? Because that's what you do. Like, you have to ask the questions backwards, if that makes any sense. Yeah, gotcha. They won't launch on a path they can't get 100% recovery on. Bingo. You don't want what's called a blackout. A blackout in your what's called your ascent corridor. You do not want a blackout. The space shuttle, everybody knows. If you don't know, the space shuttle had a blackout in its ascent corridor. A blackout in the corridor is basically a point where you can't abort. It has to go absolutely 100% right. If it doesn't go absolutely 100% right, you die. The space shuttle has a blackout basically from T-0 to T plus 2 minute 30 seconds. The first 150 seconds of ascent, if you have any problem in that time, you die. You die. Yeah, that's the answer. Challenger had a problem at T plus 73 seconds. 73 is less than 150. See what I'm talking about? You don't want a point in your ascent corridor where you cannot get away from the vehicle in the event of something going wrong, because what can go wrong will go wrong. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I mean. There's no blackout in the ascent. They're good all the way until Shannon. Shannon is basically they make orbit, guys. They'll hit orbital velocity basically here, like right around New England where I am. That's usually where second stage engine cutoff is, and by then the trajectory is way out. Yeah, it's very unlikely that you'd have a splashdown in the North Atlantic, even with SpaceX's ascent corridor, but I guarantee you recovery is designed around that worst case scenario. Like, if I could sit here and explain this to you guys in 5 minutes, there's no way SpaceX, who's been working on Dragon capsule development since 2008, is not going to know about this, right? And that's why Polaris Dawn, I think that's the biggest reason why Polaris Dawn is targeting the same orbital inclination as the ISS. They're doing that because go with what you know. They use the same exact recovery contingencies for this ascent as you would for an ISS mission, because you already have that set up. That's already there. Will Starship have that issue? Hard to say. This is the Friday forecast for Shannon. Seems to be okay, but who knows? So with Starship, the stakeholder expectations are a little bit different. What do I mean by that? With Starship, guys, it's supposed to be like an airplane, so your expectations are more like ETOPS than anything. The twin engine out. Oh, what the heck is its name? I always forget this acronym. It's been explained to me 1,000 freaking times. It's engine out capability. Extended range twin engine operational performance standards. Starship is going to have to take on something like that. Yeah. It's going to have to take out something like that. ETOPS, or ETOPS for short, is basically a set of standards that you engineer planes by that do exactly what I'm talking about. A nightmare scenario, you have an engine failure while you're doing a transatlantic crossing, you'll still be able to get to an airport. That's the idea. Starship is going to need to do something like that. But I don't even think SpaceX is thinking about that stuff, dudes. I'm way behind, but why are those two people stuck till February at the ISS? Angry Beardman, that's Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. They're not stuck. NASA chose to have them do a regular ISS rotation because the capsule that they went up with for a test flight is having trouble with its thrusters. You don't have any brakes in space. There's not like an accelerator and a decelerator in space. You know, if you have your rocket engine behind you, right, and you fire it while you're going in one direction, you're going to accelerate. But there's no like way to stop, right, unless you have forward-facing thrusters. Or otherwise, you just turn the thing around and fire your engines to slow down. You fire the accelerator in the opposite direction as you're going, which is called a retrograde burn. There's a possibility, however infinitesimally small, there's a possibility that Starliner could blow out its thrusters because of temperatures, because they get too hot, they're overheating, and yes, that's a little bit of a screw up on Boeing's part. There's a possibility where the thrusters could blow out during descent, in which case you have no brakes. If you have no brakes in space, in the particular context here, you're stuck. You are actually stuck in space. You do not want to be stuck in space. Now, they're at the ISS, so they have the safety, well, an outpost in space, so they could just stay there, right? They're not actually stuck. If they were stuck, they wouldn't be able to come down on any spacecraft. But what NASA opted to do, because they weren't sure about the thrusters with Starliner, to Boeing's detriment, might I add, they decided to launch the next ISS crew rotation mission, which should have 4 with 2 people on board. And Butch and Sonny will join those 2 crew members and make a full ISS complement till 2025 when that capsule comes back down. That's deemed the safest operation because that's what you'd basically be doing anyway. And the anomalous capsule, potentially anomalous capsule, you don't have to worry about it. You just send it back down with no people on it. Figure out what went wrong with those thrusters, fix it, and then you make that thing operational eventually. Right? Yeah, I wouldn't call them stuck. They're not stuck. They could come home. They can come home right now. If you really wanted them to. Now, the interesting part about this is that there is actually a point over the next couple of days. There is a point where they actually will be stuck. Starliner and Dragon share the same type of docking port. It's called an NDS, NASA Docking Standard, okay? They share the same design of docking port. There's only 2 NDS ports on the ISS. So right now, there's the Crew 8 Dragon on the top port, and then there's a top port and there's a front port. On the top port, you have the Crew 8 Dragon. On the front port, you have Starliner, right? When Starliner detaches, Starliner's got to detach because that other Dragon that's coming up there, the Crew 9 Dragon, the one that's launching with 2 people, it's going to have to dock to the front port. For that kind of momentary area, there's not, you're not stranded, but that's about as close as you're going to get to it because they could still get in the Crew 8 capsule and figure out if something went wrong, you can figure out what happened from there. But that's, that's still not stranded. You could still come down on the Crew 8 capsule. I'm just not sure how, but you could. And there's always Soyuz as well. But yeah, during that kind of momentary period where Starliner is undocked and Crew 9 Dragon is not there yet, yeah, I would say that they're not necessarily stranded, but that's the closest they're going to get. Stranded means you don't have a way home. Right now, they have Starliner. In the event of an emergency, like if something went down on the ISS right now, Butch and Sonny would jump right in Starliner and bees out with that thing. And to be honest with you, I'll bet you they'll make it back. I bet you they would. I'll bet you. I still think Starliner is going to be just fine. I think it's going to come down just fine. I really do. I really wouldn't want to be wrong on this one, but there's no way Boeing, with knowledge of these engines blowing out like this, is going to just send it and, roll the dice on whether they're going to blow out. They're going to do something about it because they got to save face, amongst other things, right? So I seriously think it'll be fine, Are they going to fix the suits so they are compatible between Boeing and SpaceX? I don't know. That's a question for another day because that doesn't really solve the task at hand. And implementing any changes in that regard to suits or adapters with life support systems during an operational mission is what you do if the crap has completely hit the fan, i.e. Apollo 13. Oh, also, I figured out why last week everybody was asking me about the Lockheed C-1201. It's because Mustard did a video about it. Yes, I watched it. Yes, it's awesome. Yes, I wish it existed. Just on a quick side note. But yeah, there's that as well. Don't they have escape pods on the ISS in case of emergency? The escape pod is the ship you came up in. I think it's irresponsible for the news to report them as stuck. Yeah, it makes NASA seem a lot more foolish than what's actually going on, which is quite annoying, but hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah, that mustard video is amazing, by the way. Yeah, 1201. I wish. Brenheen, there was a point where they were going to make an escape pod, the crew return vehicle, the CRV, for the ISS as an escape pod during the shuttle era. It's called the X-38. Wasn't in the budget. I saw that from Scott. I don't want to share it, W. I don't enjoy profiting off people dying. I don't show footage of people dying. I don't really cover stories, with the exception of Challenger, Columbia, and Apollo 1, about people dying. Yep, nope, not sharing that. I don't know why you think I would want to. But, yep, nope, not talking about that. That's very sad, and I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. X-38, man. This is the oh crap, we need to get home vehicle, like now. That was the idea, yeah. What about the noise on Starliner? The grounding loop. Oh, also, yeah, with the X-38, they made one, by the way. They were making it, and then they stopped, but they were making it. See. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, what's going on with the noise with Starliner? Grounding loops. Yeah, that's all. We really got to stop doing it. Yes, we do. Yeah, it's quite annoying, actually. So there was some noise being heard from Starliner that was captured by Barry Wilmore over the weekend. Starliner appears to have been making a noise, like a noise, and everybody, of course, looked over the fact that on the comms loop, Barry Wilmore reported that it was coming from the speakers on the capsule and not, the actual capsule. And honestly, what happened is just a grounding noise. Seriously, anybody that works in audio production would know exactly what I'm talking about. You ever like hear the buzzing feedback? Like, you guys hear buzzing right now, but that's because of the fan whenever I talk. But like a buzzing feedback loop, yeah, that happens. Yeah, it happens on the space station too. Yeah, I'm not sure. Tessa, believe it or not, if I had to choose, I like our way better. But either way, it's pretty stupid. You like Rocket Guy's explanation? It's haunted? Yep. Just, all right, fine. Whatever. Do they have air conditioning on Starliner? Of course they do. Hey, TS. It's Alleviate. I'm on YouTube because I got you on the television. All right, man. I'm here. Hello. Well, it sounded haunted, but I think it's an audio issue. It's a joke, but Natalie, you see what happened in chat like right after that? Hey, Newmark, what's up, dude? Yeah. It's not haunted. It's just a grounding loop problem. Yeah. Do they use alternating current on Starliner? No. Why would it be alternate? No, it's direct current. Most rockets are. Good working and lurking. How are you? I'm all right, Newmark. How's the coding going? Good? Bad? Yes, no? It said, kill me. Oh, jeez. If you don't mind me asking, what did you do before Twitch? You're really knowledgeable about this stuff. Just curious what kind of engineering you did. Love to stream, by the way. Daigil, I'm 100% self-taught when it comes to streaming. I'm a 3D artist by trade. Art student over here. Hey, how you doing? Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I'm self-taught. I've never taken an engineering class in my life. I listen and I pay attention. And there are mentors in chat that know way more about this than me. But listening is the big one. Yeah, that's how I learned so much about this. I put myself in sponge mode. If you've ever watched me cover a press conference and I'm doing this, I have learned this over time to shut everything else out and just listen to what's being said. And it turned like it's almost meditative, I guess. That's how I'm able to remember everything, guys, because I sit there and I listen. But yeah, thank you for the compliment. Well done then. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Or ma'am. Whatever you like. I listen and I read a lot. Yeah. That's what I do. 3ds Max or Blender, though? Maya, if you really want to know. And you have more engineering books than most of the engineers in this chat. Hokie, that's mostly your fault. I mean, but also. How do they power the systems on a rocket? Battery? Yeah, holy moly. Dude, it's the same as a car. I'm serious. Like, you think I'm kidding. It's the same as a car. It's DC with a ground. It's a little more, like, scientific than that. But it's the same idea. I mean, most spacecraft electrical systems are derived from airplanes, so 24 volt, 36 volt system. It really depends on the spacecraft. But yeah, just like a car, one positive wire, and then just a ground out. That's it. That's all. You'd be surprised, man. It's not as complicated as you think. Like, holy moly, I know because you told me you were working on cars a little bit earlier. It's the same thing. I'm telling you, it's the same idea. Didn't expect that, right? No, dude, even planes, same idea, same thing. Planes do the same thing, just ground it out on the chassis, and then have your batteries ground out on the chassis too. Saves weight or mass when it comes to spacecraft and airplanes, right? Do they have a 12-volt cigarette lighter on board? I don't think so. I don't think they would have that. Lighting something on fire inside of a spacecraft historically hasn't ended well anytime, but NASA's doing experiments with that, if you really wanted to know. Fix a cigarette lighter. Boop. Yeah, they all work very similar. Spacecrafts usually operate just off battery power. It depends on the spacecraft, though. Solar panels are how it works. Solar panels up there work way better than what than down here, holy moly, because there's no atmosphere in the way. But yeah, so they have an alternator of some kind. No alternator, solar panels usually, or a fuel cell. They use a fuel cell to generate power. Like the space shuttle, for instance. The shuttle didn't have any solar panels on it. Believe it or not, you want to hear something nuts? Shuttle doesn't have any batteries on it either. The fuel cells are the batteries. This is weird, dude. This is going to sound completely ridiculous. But remember, mass is a huge thing with spacecraft. It has to be as light, quote unquote, as possible. So, holy moly, with the shuttle, what they did was, when it was on the pad, they would power it on with ground power, and then they'd turn on they have three redundant fuel cells. They're underneath the payload bay, 2 on port side, 1 on starboard, right? And they turn the fuel cells on, and the fuel cells would just generate power. That's it. You don't need a battery. There's no alternator. That's your battery. Your fuel cells are the battery. The reason why is because, yeah, when you turn the fuel cell on, right, it's going to generate electrical power. It's going to generate enough electrical power. And having your fuel cell charge a battery and having your battery go to an electrical system makes no sense. Why do you need the battery? The fuel cell is going to be on already. Why would you need the battery? You have 3, and it's in triple redundancy. There's no need for a battery. There's no batteries on the space shuttle, believe it or not. Like, there are local components that have batteries, but it's not like one master 12-volt battery. Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of people know that. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah, the battery is the potential energy from the fuel cell, you know, being turned on. It's not potential energy, but you get the idea. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, man, cars are like a very simplified version of like a spaceship. Seriously, or an airplane. It's a very simplified version of it because it's designed for us mere mortals, you know. Spacecraft are the same idea, though. It's not as like out there as you might think. Now, you know how, like on a car, you'd have a Deutsch connector that clicks in and it holds itself in place, like it'll snap together, right? And then you have to use a screwdriver, and it's a pain in the butt to get the thing off to unclip. Spacecraft have stuff like that too, but spacecraft have a whole manner of design standards for plugs that are derived from the military. The reason why is because the conditions that they operate in are way more intense than like driving a car down the road, for instance, right? Like a Formula One car would have a similar amount of connections on it. Seriously, they use those standards to engineer race cars because race cars are bouncing around all over the place, suspension's bouncing you around, G-forces left, G-forces right, same idea. So you see a lot of spacecraft and aerospace stuff that finds its way into automobiles. Funny enough, there's so many actual standards that there's no actually one single standard. Yep. Yeah, dude, same idea. It just, grounds out. That's how spacecraft work. They ground it out on the chassis of the craft. It's not as complicated as you might think. There's been a few goes at an APU, though, right? There's Arianespace recently where it failed early. That thing. Yeah, Aqualex, kind of, yeah. The shuttle existed before decent batteries, but they tested a battery in 2009. Parax, I know you're an electric car nutcase. Like, I don't see the need for batteries in a space shuttle's design unless you want to keep it up there for more than a week or so. And the shuttle was never designed to do that. It's an airplane that flies into space, so to speak, quote unquote. There's no need for batteries. There's no need for that. Your fuel cells are the batteries. Why would you change that? Why would you add another component? Oh, it's lighter. Well, all right, why would you add that? In case your triple redundant fuel cell fails? That's a stretch, right? It's a stretch. Maybe. Wouldn't an APU impart thrust on the airframe, though, in orbit due to the exhaust? Mm-hmm. Or you could capture it and use it for ullage, Nader, which is what's been proposed in the past, or vent it radially. If you have two thrusters that are venting equal on either side, pushing through, it's not going to do anything. People, that's right. Shuttle has, 3 auxiliary power units, 3 fuel cells, and 3 main engines. Yep. The 3 APUs, they're HPUs. They're the hydraulic power units that generate the electricity that's needed for the thrust vector controls on the engines. Yep. The fuel cells are that are underneath the payload bay. So those 3 HPUs are in the back. They're in the orbiter aft segment. They're mounted on the back wall of the payload bay. So like you have the back of the payload bay, your 3 main engines are right here. It's mounted on this side. There's 3 HPUs in there, and those are on during ascent. The fuel cells are general electrical power, and they're also powering life support systems too. Which, I mean, general electrical power, take your pick. If you want to generalize life support under general power, then there you go. But yeah, you're right. Good stuff, man. I know it's a little off topic, but can you ELI5 on how ion engines work? I don't get how electricity propels a spacecraft. They arc electricity through xenon gas, and the ionization effect that happens from running a high voltage electrical arc through an inert gas causes, it basically rips the molecules from the gas apart, and they exhaust, and that resulting exhaust, the exhaust resulting from ionization is what causes thrust. Ion thrusters do not have a lot of thrust. They really do not. If, like I did this, that's more thrust. That's like a lot more thrust than an ion thruster. An ion thruster has like less thrust than a little like personal fan. They don't have a lot, but you got to remember, you don't need a lot in space. You don't need a lot. Wouldn't that mean that the gas will run out though? Yeah, so Riv, yeah, of course it's going to run out of gas. Why? That's the shelf life of the satellite. The shelf life of satellites is not dependent on the electronics. The electronics will work indefinitely for a long time, unless they don't. But most of the time, the end of life and disposal of a satellite is because it's out of gas. Yeah, that's mostly the reason why. Like Starlinks, for instance. Starlinks have a 5-year lifespan because they're in the lower parts of the atmosphere. Guess what? It's not the technology on the Starlink. It's that it runs out of gas. That's it. Because typically for a spacecraft development process, your avionics may use Ethernet, RS-485, while your onboard sensors use I2C, SPI, UART, and CAN-B, but then your communication system uses Ethernet. Put a different connector to the avionics into a coaxial output. And then you have disgusting spacewire protocol for imaging systems and some payloads. You can have a cable harness with 60 different connectors over 20 different protocols. I hate that a lot, Rocket. Wow. Why did the Empire use ion thrusters on fighters? Because it's cheaper. Also, the ion thrusters in Star Wars are way better than the ones we have in real life. And it was 2. They used 2 ion engines. That's why TIE fighters have those huge things on the side. Those are solar panels for generating electricity, guys. Yeah. Solar panels and radiators. Just like a real spacecraft. There was some sci-fi, there was some science fiction there with the TIE fighter. I know if I call Star Wars science fiction, everybody's going to get all bent out of shape. It's space opera, it's space fantasy, space elves. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hey, Snooze, what's going on? Wouldn't a composite chassis make grounding through them difficult? Why? I mean, yeah. You can run current through it. It's just you get a lot of resistance, Yannick. And that's one of the trade-offs of doing a carbon composite design. You have more wires. Yeah, great. Your chassis or your vehicle's lighter. You're going to need more wires. And each connection must have individual pins checked and tested on both ends, and typically these connectors are anywhere between 9 and 32 pins. No, do not want. Cars run life support on main power too if air conditioning counts as life support. I can confirm you do not need air conditioning to drive a vehicle around. It works just fine, and I am still alive. Not very comfortable, but alive. I drove a truck with no air conditioning through the desert where it was like 50 C out, and I assure you, you can make it through without AC. It's just not very comfortable. I sweat in places that I was not sure I was capable of sweating in. Harnessing is a massive undertaking. As Shaw pointed out, Halo PPE at 600 kilograms of cable harnessing missing, right? 602 kilos, about 1,500 pounds. After driving through the desert with no AC, I'd say EJ would consider AC to be life support now. No, it's an amenity. It's an amenity, Nader. Suck it up and eat some crayons, damn it. Ernock and I ate crayons that day. It was great. We suffered. We suffered through it. We suffered for success. Get your head out of your butt. Wake up and smell the roses, numbnuts. The crayons were melted. Yeah, it was made a nice slurry. It was delicious. How much weight did you lose going on that road trip? About 10 pounds, Charles. I mean, I wasn't keeping track, but yeah, 10 pounds. History question. Was Corporal the last liquid fuel engine to rely on burst discs? No. Burst discs are still used in spacecraft and rocket design to this day. That and pyro valves. You're a Marine now? No, I'm saying I did a dumb thing. Crayons are food. Crayons are food, not for coloring. What if they're food coloring? Gonna eat your crayons plain? That's like squirting food coloring, and you gotta put some hot sauce on it or something, man. Damn. What's wrong? Don't eat crayons, please don't. Unless you're a Marine, then you eat all the crayons you damn well want to. Okay, all right, okay. Anyway, here, look at this. The desert is dry, though. Wet heat kills you because high humidity makes sweating ineffective. Yannick, I just want to be very clear. I told you I drove through the desert, and I told you it was hot, and then now you're telling me about the climate in the desert? I just want to make sure this conversation is... I'm following correctly. Because, you know, you said you saw that road trip. You know where we drove right after that, right? I drove through the desert in a truck with no name, but it did have a name. The truck's name was Bluefus. Purple is the best flavor. It combines blue for freedom and red for the blood of my enemies. Based and crayon pilled. All right, anyway. So Sir Peter Beck posted this the other day. Rocket Lab's got a lot of missions in the pipeline here. And you know what? I'm okay with this. So Astro Levels burst discs are used in... Here, hold up. You're asking about burst discs. Burst discs are used as a check valve in pressurized systems on spacecraft. An example for a burst disc would be a hypergolic system, a pressure-fed hypergol system. If the pressure gets exceeded inside of the lines, you would use a burst disc, right? It's not an ideal thing, right? But like, well, actually, no, scratch that. That check valve is different. Scratch that. Forget what I just said. Sorry. I have to give me a second to recall it. Okay. So you'd use a burst disc or a pyro valve as a one-way valve. So one-time valve, a valve that you, during the mission, you open and it stays open and it does not close. It's a one-way switch. It opens. It's a one-way switch in fluid mechanics. That's the right way to say it. Burst discs are used where a valve, like an opening and closing valve, is not needed. So pressurizing a hypergolic system would use a burst disc because you're only pressurizing the system once, and the system stays pressurized throughout the rest of the mission. The reason how I know that spacecraft still aerospace still uses a burst disc design, like that phrase is really hard to say really fast. The reason why I know is because burst discs were fitted to Dragon after, what was it, C209 blew up, the DM1 capsule that blew up on the test stand. The reason why that happened is because SpaceX had a two actuator valve for their pressurized systems for reusability, right? So the valve opened, and then when the system was done at the end of the mission, it closed. When it closed, some nitrogen tetroxide backfilled the system, right? You think about it like a river. You're flowing downstream. Some of the NTO went upstream. When that valve closed, probably about maybe a drop of water's worth of NTO did that. So when they went to pressurize the system again, right? When they went to pressurize the system again, that NTO in the line turned into basically a slug, like a bullet. They went to pressurize the system again,
right? And the NTO coming in pushed that slug forward, and it hit a titanium valve at high pressure, really, really fast. And when that happened, nitrogen tetroxide is an oxidizer, titanium is a metal, and in certain conditions, in certain conditions, a certain amount of oxygen will turn titanium into solid rocket fuel. Hence, the capsule exploded, because that's exactly what happened. Basically, it would be like a shotgun going off inside of their pressurized system. Yep. Explosions. So SpaceX switched with their hypergolic pressurization systems. They switched to a burst disk design, which has to be replaced after every flight, but it also doesn't blow the capsule up. The more you know. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where you'd use a burst disk or a pyro valve, which is kind of similar. I'm pretty sure those are the same thing, but I could be wrong. They have different names, so knowing engineers, they're probably slightly different on some technicality because they have different names. If they didn't have different names, they would probably be the same thing.
Discovery.
Yeah, that's how engineering works. It's very technical, very technically correct. Josh, 89-month resub. Thanks, man. Did they discover it then, or was it known? Oh, they found out. After the capsule exploded, they found out. Yeah, that wasn't known until it was. Oops. Burst discs are primarily used within the pressurant tanks to prevent them from failing spectacularly. Yeah. And they're also used in the lower pressure end of regulator valves to prevent reverse flow and blowing it out of the line. Yeah, that second one, Rocket Guy. That second one is... Yeah, that second one. It's not a check valve. A check valve is different because you don't want to vent hypergols because you overpressurized your system. Any idea what material modern burst discs are made from? No idea. I don't know. Depends on the design. It depends on the design. It depends on the spec. It depends on what spacecraft it's on. What pressure does the system that it's controlling operate at? It's like what Rocket Guy said. There's a bajillion different types of connections. There's a bajillion different types of valves, dudes. It depends on what it is. You ask, what is it made out of? Metal? Probably metal. I had to guess.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Hey, Builder, what's up, man? 24-month resub. I feel like a rocket surgeon after wiring that Holly in. Yeah, baby. Check your grounds. Check your grounds. Yeah, there you go. A little bit on burst valves. Good questions. And burst discs and pyro valves. Also, Peter Beck posted this. Full house. Yeah, that. I really appreciate what's going on here. You guys see this? See this shop? See how they have like a pegboard with all the tools? I want my shop to be this clean. I need my shop, which is not that clean, to be this clean. I really would like that. I think we should do that. Yeah, I think, we should do a shop organization and cleaning stream. So go tidy it. Yeah, let me get the Chevy out of my garage and then we'll talk. Turn garage into VAB. VAB is not a clean room. It's not a clean room. It's an integration. It's an integration building, akin to a high bay. And stop playing computer games. What? Okay. I mean, all right. We could, after Space News, we could work on the Camaro to load up the suspension if you want. It's up to you. It's a trap. Why is it a trap? Yeah, Chevys deserve to sit outside. Only Ford should be allowed to stay inside. Yeah, right? Look at this thing. I've been taking care of this damn car for the last God knows how long. I was working on it on break, by the way. That's why the wheel is off. And the hood is up. Yeah, I was working on it. I want my shop to be a clean room queue. Yeah. You have no idea how much that actually makes a difference. You got the bumper back on too. Everything is good to go, Coltec. We just got to set the springs. Yeah, got to set the springs, dude. That's why I have the hood up. I was setting the, I set this spring. And then we got to put it down, and then we got to do the camber caster and toe adjustment. Yeah. Dude, very nice work. Thank you. Yeah, also, Bree's dad helped me get the hood back on. And we got new prop rods for the hood, so now the hood stays up. Yeah. It's coming along, guys. Things really, really starting to get nice, and I'm kind of bummed. I'm kind of bumming that it's not mine. I'm kind of bummed out that it's not mine, man. Damn. Did you get the RAM? What? Garage cleaning simulator. You heard it here first. Yep. Three sticks of 8 GB RAM for the encoder rig. You bought RAM? I have not gotten this yet. Did you ship it to the PO box or? Mind if I share a pic of Mustang somewhere? Yeah, sure. Here. I got you, Holy. Please. It was delivered to you last Wednesday. Huh. I'll have to go look. Yeah. The Ram truck didn't fit in the box. Yep. Just a sailboat? Yep, we'll talk about that in a second. Is it known how long refurbishing a Falcon 9 booster takes, and what are the main thing that they're doing during refurbishing? Skeleton, we don't know what they're doing. It takes about a month. Yeah, we don't know what they're doing. I can theorize. It's just a theory. There's some things that I know they have to do. They have to replace the pyrophoric ignition cartridges. T-tab, got to replace that. Engine can't start without those. That, actually, hold on. I just did a bing, technically correct. T-tab doesn't necessarily use cartridges, for what it's worth. If they're using cartridges, they would have to replace them. We don't know if they're using cartridges. No idea. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I know they have to do something with the pyrophorics, either refill them or replace a cartridge or whatever. But other than that, I don't know. Yep. Holy moly, I can see it. What do you got? Oh, man. Man, is that gonna piss people off. Oh, man, is that gonna piss people off, dude. Uncapping Badger, thanks for the raid. People are gonna be so mad, dude. That's freaking awesome, though. And I'm saying that as a Ford guy. That's rad, dude. That's really cool. Nice, you got caster plates, too. Camber caster plates. Dude, this thing's gonna be great, man. So many people are gonna be pissed. Oh, dude, I would take this to every show. Be like, yeah, Ford power. Click. What's worth an LS Stang or a 2JZ Stang? I don't care. I think they're all cool. Okay, Arrow, I'll look into it. What kind of inbred stuff is that? You know what, dude? I don't hate it. I really don't. I really don't hate it. I think it's cool. I think that's funny. You know why? Because it's gonna piss people off. I'm willing to be agnostic to brand loyalty if it pisses a lot of people off. That's funny. Am I weird? Don't answer that. Anyway. Okay. Hail Hydra, I got the Bowtail link. I got that. I got the ESM link. I got the LS3 link. What else do we have? Okay, shut that out. I don't know what that is. What did I just walk into? Don't worry about it. Thank you for the raid. Okay, what's this tweet coming in from Blue? We're looking forward to firing up those 2B 3Us on New Glen's second stage in a few days. David? How did you... Oh... What the heck? A little... Dude, look, it's a little mini transporter erector. It's a tiny TE. Look at that thing. What? It's a little mini one. What? Look. It's a little mini. It's a little baby TE. Look at the little baby TE. It puts the little baby second stage on the pad. Oh, that's... Look at that. It's a little baby. It's really not. That's like the second biggest upper stage that's designed right now, aside from like Starship. No, okay, so the reason why I'm saying like, oh, it's a little baby. Look, this is using the exact same transport mechanism as the first stage. It has a reaction frame that's exactly like the first stage, but it's adapted for the second stage. You can see the adapter plate right there. This makes it so Blue Origin's pad at Slick 36 could be used as a test stand. You can use it as a test stand, or you can use it to launch. And look, it's a second stage transporter erector. It's a little baby erector. That looks like just, I mean, okay. So, fellas, look at the transporter, the SPMTs. See the self-propelled modular transporters, the two blue stripes that are right there. Note how this thing is just hanging on the end of them, right? So, if we go here and we look at New Glen transporter erector, I love how that auto-populated. The algorithm, it knows me. All right, take a look. This is a picture, I think it's a stock image from Aviation Week. Or not a stock image, but look, see the TE right there? See how it bows out and then it has the two prongs right there that hold the reaction plate? Basically the launch stand in place. Look. It's the same thing, but it's smaller and it's designed for a second stage. See, it tapers in because it's designed to pick up on the same hold down points as that. See the taper? Only it's that, but it stops right here because it's only designed for the second stage. It's second stage test stand. That's super cool. It's a little baby transporter erector. Look at this, it's a little baby. This is small. It's a small TE. It's a little baby. Oh, that's super cool, man. That's coming from Blue. They just posted that. That's super cool. Why completely redesign? No, that's cool. They just made another frame that's designed to hold the second stage that picks up on the same points as the first stage. That's it. That's all they did. I say that like that's some easy accomplishment, but also that's all they did. You have a question. What's up, Aquino? I don't know if you're the guy to answer them, but I'm looking to see if you do. What happens to ULA's ownership of Pad 6?
Over here at Vandenberg, if they get sold. I know SpaceX technically owns Pad 6, but ULA still holds part of it. Contractual, a la carte, Aquino. SpaceX owns Slick 6 right now. They don't own it. They have the lease to it. Components and support facilities around Slick 6 are negotiated on an a la carte contractual basis. So SpaceX has most of the pad and integration structures, but the operations and support buildings around it could still be owned by ULA. What happens? Well, unless they want to void a contract, if somebody buys ULA, they're beholden to the same contractual obligations. Yeah, that's how it works. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. But long story short, when you're contracting, you're a la carte. It's like a buffet. You know, you don't need to take some, like, just because you have a lot of the pad, like you lease the pad, doesn't mean that you lease all the facilities on it unless it's explicitly stated. Yeah, it's all contractual, man. Yep. Dear Bechtel, do as Blue Origin does. Signed everyone. Hellfish, I'm serious at this point. I would go to Elon or go to Jeff and be like, yo, build me a mobile launcher. I'm dead serious. Build me an ML. You guys clearly can build integration equipment way faster, especially SpaceX. I'd go to Elon and be like, seriously, build me the mobile launcher. Build me a Block 1B mobile launcher for SLS. SpaceX could crank that out in less than a year. I'm 100% sure of this. I'd do it. And you know what? Elon would probably do it too. It'd be hilarious. But that's what I'd do. Bechtel clearly doesn't have the chops to get it done. He's busy with his own stuff, though. SpaceX does not have any qualms about working on the competition stuff. SpaceX, Falcon 9 launched OneWeb satellites into space, which is their competition. Bechtel needs to do more things in Boston. I think they're a great fit. Look, as somebody who just drove through the Big Dig Helsinki today because I had to drop off Bree's parents at the airport, no. 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 No, they do not. They can go away and they can never come back. Because Helsinki, I don't know if you remember. If you're not local to Boston, you probably didn't hear about this. They put these nice ceiling tiles in the tunnels to make it look all nice. And a couple of years after it was completed, they failed miserably because they didn't anchor them into the concrete ceiling correctly, and one fell on someone's car and killed them. Great. Yeah, great. Look that up. Oh yeah. Oops. You want to know? They didn't have an inch of thread anchored into the concrete for like a metal panel. Yeah. Yep. Less than an inch of thread anchored into concrete to hang a metal panel from for cladding for the ceiling of the tunnel. Go look it up. Yeah, anybody that knows anything about mechanics knows that less than an inch of thread or less than 25 mil of thread on any type of screw, nut, or bolt or whatever is death. No matter what the circumstance, death. You die. Boston needs one more lane. We need something. I don't know what it is. We need something. Bechtel also cleaned up 3 Mile Island. Of course they did. Sure. Sure, goalie. Jeez. Do you know what a sidewalk is in the U.S.? Unfortunately, yeah. Boston is very walkable, and believe it or not, very walkable, because it was made before the automobile was invented. It's very walkable. That's all I'm saying. I'm not elaborating anymore. Just walkable-ish.
At least Bechtel has the same qualifications as the MBTA subway cars contractor. This is not funny. This is not funny. This is not funny. This is not funny. You guys make jokes. I have to live with this crap, okay? I have to live with this crap every day, all right? The inefficiencies make me want to headbutt a wall. Face the wall, please. Oh, I will with pleasure. You know, is Boston can you walk faster than a car? In some spots, Alex, yeah, absolutely. In some spots, there's just no room for cars. As Europeans, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. There are some parts of Boston where you just, unless you live there, don't drive down there, because there's just no room. You're not getting a car down there. Like, okay, I wouldn't take Bluefus into the city. No, it will not fit. I would not take the F-350 in there. I wouldn't even take the F-250 in there. It's not going to fit. You'll have a lot of trouble going down these roads. If only you moved to the correct Cape. You know what? Blame Bremo on that one. Okay, like some of these you're just not. No. Like the South End. If you're not on these big roads, you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have a bad day. Yeah, there's just, if you need to go somewhere in the North End, good. There's a parking garage right next to the damn highway, right there. Park there, walk into the North End, because you are not getting a car down any street on this. Or a truck. Yeah, have fun with that. Have fun doing that. You're good luck. That's some of the oldest parts of the city. That and Beacon Hill. Yeah, good luck getting a car up that. Spoiler alert, you're not. How does Amazon deliver there? There's still room. It's just not a lot of room. They made all the streets one way. That's really the big one. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. This is Beacon Hill. This is one of the oldest parts of the city. Yeah. Like I said, Chrome, we have a lot of European parts of the city. It's basically been the same for like 400 years. Yeah. Maybe not 400 years. I know 400 years isn't a lot for you guys. I get it. But yeah, no, like I said, there are parts of the city you just don't drive in unless you absolutely have to. Now, I delivered pizzas in that, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know. I delivered food in that environment you just saw. I'm good at driving. I hate doing it in the city, but I'm good at it. I delivered in that. Yeah. Yeah. Once upon a time. Hey, Cal, what's going on? I'm just catching up in a few minutes behind. If you want to send me a CAD file of the layout you want to use for your tools, I can CNC them into K's and foam for you. I own a cabinet making business. Really, Dave? I'll think about it, man. Shoot me an email. bjsa154@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I'm serious about that. Dude, if we want to do it, we'll do it right. That'll be awesome. Thanks, man. Hell yeah. Dude, I would really like, everything to be nice and organized. You have to, especially when you're working on cars. I like payload. I want payload change out clean room. So PCR is what it's called. Yeah, I mean, maybe not clean room, because clean room you need an HVAC system, and I can't afford that right now. But I like the organization that we had with the Rocket Lab picture. This is really what I'm going for. I would really like this. Look at that, dude. They got air tools and plugs coming from the ceiling. We need that. We need that. That would be useful. Yeah. See? This is what I'm about that life. That'd be awesome. See all this? We need some of that action right there for all my tools. And also preferably a gantry crane. Gantry cranes would make things a lot easier. You need some 5S in your shop? What do you mean? Like, maybe we should do that before we bring the coronet in. But then again, we're going to clean the coronet. We're going to take apart the coronet, and it's just going to make a huge mess. Chase up, 52-month resub. Time for hard airlines. I mean, I could make that. That's no problem. If you switch from this feed and the feed to your garage, you could barely tell the difference. Yeah, dude, yeah, that's the same thing. Never mind all the dirt that's on the ground right there. It's fine. It's practically the same thing, man, right? Like, it's the same. Or something. You know, rockets, cars, whatever. It's fine. Right? The rug really ties the room together. Yeah, yeah. There are round objects. Yep. Almost done, dude. I suddenly want to play Satisfactory. Floor needs to be clean enough to eat off of. Yep. Yep. Anyway. Hey, T-Dave, 66-month resub. I like how EJ cleans up his tools when not working. Me too. Yeah. Look, hey, look at that. The canopy, the sailboat that's carrying the European Space Agency's European Service Module for an Artemis mission. It arrived at the Cape. Hey, all right. It's a sailboat. Yeah, this is what the European Space Agency uses. This is a picture from Max. This is what they use to move Ariane 6 parts. And in this particular case, the European Service Module. I don't know why you wouldn't just fly the stupid thing, but all right. Ironically, that looks futuristic. It's a sailboat, guys. Canopy has sails on it. Yeah, to offset its carbon footprint. These are sails that unfurl, and you can move them into the wind. Yep, and use the wind supplementary to its onboard propulsion systems. Yep. It's a sailboat. Kind of. Mostly a sailboat. Yeah. Yeah. Canopy is new technology. Yep. Yeah, it's being billed as a pioneering technology. Next thing you know, they're going to be making boats out of renewable materials. Reject modernity, embrace tradition. But there's... Steel is renewable. We know. He was making a boat joke that, next thing you know, they'll be making stuff out of wood. No? All right. Yeah, it's cool. I appreciate it. Would. A for effort, but also talking about blue earlier. This is from the NSF forum. All right. EJ's sailboat and rocket review. All right, let's see. Oh. This is from the NSF forum. This is regarding New Glen's second stage. You're mixing up two separate events. The GS2 stage that was tested indoors in the second stage cleaning and testing pressure testing facility. Technically speaking, the stage is indoors. It is sitting inside an enclosed structure with a huge sliding door closing off the entrance. This stage went kaput during hydrostatic pressure testing, resulting in the sliding door being blown off and a lot of water going places where it wasn't supposed to go. Technically speaking, the stage burst wide open with the remains collapsing under their own weight. Okay. Hydrostatic testing. Nice. Event 2. The GS2 stage that crumpled, not an implosion. Crumpling is fairly slow. Implosion is very fast. Was not being tested. It was a flight GS2 stage that had sat outdoors in the hot Florida sun for some time. When it was moved back indoors into an air-conditioning building, the hot air inside the stage cooled down, shrinking in the process. Normally, a bunch of valves would be open so that the outside air could be sucked in to keep the inside pressure equal to the outside pressure. However, per reporting, the valves were either sealed or ventilation openings were taped over. As a result, the stage crumpled to the point it was crushed like a beer can. So that's 2. Repeat 2 Glen stages going kaput. One is now in a lot of pieces and the other one resembled a crushed can. You should have just said exploded. In a hydrostatic test, stored energy is a lot less than in a regular gas test at the same pressure. A regular explosion of this tank would have rutted the entire building. But if it's the bottom of the tank that lets go and the dome completely and quickly separates, you get a limited form of water bottle rocket, which is what I think happened. Let's just say what you think happened is very close to what actually happened. Yeah, we kind of theorized that something bad happened there. Something very bad, considering the doors were not there. So this implies some high energy explosion. Yeah. This kind of stuff would make the SpaceX team at Boca proud. That's a usual Monday for them. Yeah. All right. So check this out. SLS's bow tail for core stage 3 is very nice. Is undergoing final checkouts to be moved to the SSPF down the Cape. Actually, no, they did put it in there, didn't they, Hell Hydra? It's on its way to the Cape right now with the aft engine section in Pegasus. Cable management, not cables, pneumatic lines. At least I think pneumatics. Pretty sure they're pneumatic lines. Very nice. I don't think they would be hydraulic. It's probably pneumatic, guys. Yeah, that was shipped out to the Cape. That's on its way to the Cape right now. This is the aft bow tail of the SLS core stage. Yeah, for Artemis 3. Tubes! Yep. Good stuff. What else we got? So, I talked a little bit earlier about when Polaris Dawn is. Guys, Polaris Dawn is tentatively scheduled for Friday early in the morning, 3:38 a.m. on Friday morning. Starliner is also undocking right around that time, believe it or not. Yeah. So we have a Starliner undocking, and we also have the Polaris Dawn mission happening at the same time. Oh, Hell Hydra, you're reading my mind.
Starliner is scheduled to autonomously undock from the space station at approximately 6:04 p.m. on Friday, September 6th. Okay, so it's later in the day. NASA and Boeing are targeting approximately 12:03 a.m. Saturday, September 7th for the landing and conclusion of the flight test. Oh boy, Thursday and Friday are going to be a little ahead of Starliner's return, NASA will host a pre-departure news conference at 12 p.m. Wednesday, September 4th from the agency's Johnson Space Center in Houston. 12 p.m. what time zone? NASA commercial crew and International Space Station program managers and a flight director will participate. Okay, so Wednesday we're going to have a pre-departure news conference, so that's good. It's at Johnson, so it's got to be central. Friday, 5:45 undocking coverage begins on NASA TV. 6:04 undocking coverage resumes for deorbit burn at 10:50. Entry and landing. Oh, that's during. This is all during the flame trench, isn't it? Oh, oh no. Oh, that's gonna be fun. I'm telling Adrian this right now. That's gonna be fun. I'm sorry. That's gonna be a great stream, man. It's gonna be so good. I'm telling Adrian, Jack needs to be there. No exceptions. I'm going to message him now. Now we gotta go, Jack. Dude, Starliner is undocking during Flame Trench this week, and you need to be there. No exceptions. We must. No. This is the way. Okay, there we go. All right, cool. You're even. No, it's gonna be fine. Give me 1 second. Adrian asked me another question. Did you see here that Sean got a new gig? Yes. Yeah, he works for What About It? Yep. Yeah, that's good. ABL can nearly 40% of their team. Yeah, I heard about that.
So ABL Space Systems had a problem with their first stage, with a flight stage. They were doing a test on the test stand and it exploded. It's very similar to Rocket Factory Augsburg. And then right after that, yeah. Lavi got laid off too. Yeah. That's not good. That's not ideal. Yeah. That's that tells me whatever problem they had with that stage was glaring. And yeah, not good. What's your best case scenario for Starliner after this mess? Kal-El, I think Starliner's going to get home just fine. I think those thrusters need to be tested. Data needs to be reviewed, but I think it'll complete its missions just fine. Honestly, guys, now, okay, RE Starliner. Starliner's thruster problem is an awful problem to have. It's terrible. This problem happened on OFT1, OFT2, and then somebody made the decision to put people on this. That whole process needs to be reviewed. I'm not necessarily sure if it's inexperience. It sounds like inexperience to me, because you got to get back in the groove of running your space program. I honestly and truly don't think that the thruster problem is that big of a deal. What the thruster, the poppets blowing out, I don't think it's that big of a deal. However, the decision to put people on it was an idiotic decision. That was stupid. I can say that with the utmost clarity, and I can definitely say that it's not hindsight influencing that decision. You have these problems with OFT1 and OFT2, and you don't do anything about it. I trust myself enough, even though I'm not an engineer. I just cover this stuff and try to explain it in a way that people understand. I'm confident enough to know about that. I'm confident enough in my knowledge of how to run a space program to know that I would not let people fly on this if your thrusters have problems. That would be like a big no-no. Nope. No, don't do that. Like, that's not like one of these things that you learn, you know? That's something you really... They need the thrusters to get home. You probably should make sure that they work correctly. I think that, but see, here's the thing. In the scheme of things, you're not gonna, it's hard to test for this problem, but also at the same time, you had this problem on a previous flight. So the process for certifying this needs to be, for certifying Starliner to even do another flight with people on board or people anywhere near it, that they need to go over that with a fine-tooth comb again. I think Starliner 1 will move people. I really do. I think it will. This is, like I said, this is not that big of a problem. It's not that big of a problem, but it became a big problem when somebody decided to, you know, oh yeah, let's put people on it, it's fine. When somebody was willing to increase the risk. Now, once again, like I said, it's a hard problem to figure out. It's a hard problem to figure out. How do you know how the thrust is going to work in space? You're not going to know until you go send it into space. They did send it into space. It had problems, and they didn't think anything of it. But you also got to understand is that, and this is something that I kind of have not gone over in the past, they had problems with the thrusters overheating at different phases of the mission in OFT2. I actually went back over the weekend and went and looked just to make sure what I heard from Steve Stitch was right in that last press conference that they did. They had thruster blowout at a different phase of the mission. And I'd said in the past that, wow, that's really stupid. You have the thruster blowout. Well, why the frick? Why didn't you figure this out? Well, it blew out. They had thrust degradation at the very, very, very end of the deorbit burn on OFT2. They encountered that same degradation at a completely different point in the mission. Which, once again, I would ask that, well, that clearly means that they changed something. There's something obviously different between Service Module 2 and Service Module 3. The one that flew the OFT1 mission, or the OFT2 mission, and the one that flew the CFT1 mission, clearly something is different here. What's different? What is different? That's an extremely difficult question to ask. But also, you don't, when you're working on waterfall testing a spacecraft, when you basically work on doing everything during one test flight, an all-up integrated test like that, when you're doing that stuff, no behavior should be ignored. No behavior should be ignored. It doesn't matter if you blew out a thruster at the very end of the mission. Blowing out thrusters at different phases of the mission is kind of like, that's not good, right? But you need to figure out what's the difference between the OFT2 service module, which doesn't exist anymore, and the CFT1 service module, which is about to not exist. You got to figure that out, and trying to figure out the differences here is going to be increasingly difficult. That's going to be something that's really tough to figure out. It's going to be some time before Starliner even gets near the pad again, in my opinion. Not in my opinion. It's going to. You got to figure out why this thrust degradation happened. And the sucky part is that you can't do it without... You can't do it. You don't have the hardware. You can't tell exactly what's wrong. They can't take apart the hardware. They don't get the service module back. Right? So now you need to rely on data to prove what went wrong with your hardware and make sure it doesn't happen again. Personally, I don't think this is this big of a deal. You know exactly where the thrust degradation is and where and when they blow out after how much duty cycle they've gone through. You should have known that after OFT1, or to be 100% honest with you, but whatever. You know exactly where the operational limits are these thrusters are now, so design new control systems and design new trajectories around this now known duty cycle for the thrusters. That's why I think Starliner's going to come back just fine. I think they adjusted it. They're going to adjust its trajectory, patch that software up to Starliner, and then send it home on a trajectory that doesn't smoke out the thrusters. But yeah, it's going to take some time to prove exactly what's going on here. I don't necessarily think it's going to be another uncrewed flight, guys, because you got to remember that thrusters is a big problem. Like I said, it wasn't a big problem. It's a big problem because you put people on it, but it's not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. It really isn't. From an optics standpoint, it looks incredibly bad for Boeing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it doesn't. Oh, they look like a bunch of numbskulls right now. In the layman's eye, abso-freaking-lutely. But honestly, this type of problem, hard to find. Hard to find, hard to spot, hard to pinpoint. And that's why they let it slide. But, I mean, honestly, if it was me, I would run a way tighter ship than that. I really don't care about shareholders and stuff. You're putting people's lives at stake here. You best be knowing your operational limits for your thrusters before you put people on it. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. I mean, that's not like EJ's bringing some crazy elaborative information to the table. That's just common sense. That's like, oh, I got a flat tire. I'm going to drive on it. No, don't do that. You are asking to get yourself or somebody else on the road killed. Don't do that. Weird, huh? Like that's not like, oh, EJ, you have the benefit of hindsight. That's how you, no. If I had seen that, I would have been like, nah, we're not doing that. So once again, because I don't think this is that big of an issue, it's a hard problem to solve. Not that big of an issue though. Like, I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out. They'll adjust the control systems based off around the now known duty cycle of those thrusters being clustered together in the doghouse, and they'll adjust trajectory for the Starliner 1 mission to take that into account. It really, like I said, it's going to be a little bit before we see another Starliner, but it's not going to be as long as everybody thinks. It's not going to be down for a year. I really don't think so. Like a year at the very, very latest, unless they figure out a catastrophic design flaw with these thrusters, which I highly doubt, because the thrusters, once again, are based off of the shuttle thrusters. We proved that there is a plethora of freaking knowledge about these thrusters over the last 30 years of flight data when the space shuttle flew with the same exact freaking thrusters. I don't know about you guys, but my review teams, I'd be pointing them in that direction if I was running the Starliner program. Be like, hey, you probably should look at this. And I'm frankly kind of concerned that they didn't in the first place. But once again, this is this shows you a small problem seeps through the cracks. Murphy's Law happens, and now Boeing looks stupid. It's going to take a second to figure out the exact fault tree post-mission analysis here, especially since you're bringing the thruster down and you're pulsing your already broken thrusters. It's going to take a second to figure that out. But once they do, at least they have the known behavior. They'll be able to review the data from the mission and the telemetry downlinks to prove basically how much power these thrusters can take, or how much pulsing these thrusters can take before they blow up. I do think the next Starliner will fly crew, but not after a pretty lengthy review. Should take some time, but I think they'll be flying sooner rather than later. But it is going to take a little bit of time. I'm talking about relative time difference. In the grand scheme of spaceflight, not going to take very long, because it's not that big of a problem in the grand scheme of things. The optics look awful, no doubt, but it would be a long time for me and you. I'd say a year at the very, very, very latest. It really depends on the severity of this overheating problem. And if I were Boeing right now, I'd be building more service modules and firing the trash out of them on test stands until they break. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing to get this relative data, because it's clear that the thrusters are overheating. The one exception to the flat tire is the interstate. If you value your life, run that rim instead of attempting to change it on the 10-foot. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we can change thrusters. Remember, it's an analogy, because we can change the thrusters on Starliner right now, right? We're going to change that on the 10-foot of the highway into space, right? I guess if they fly crew on the next flight, they won't call it Starliner 1, and it won't count as an operational flight. Well, that's Abhi is an ex-Dragon engineer, Forge. It really depends. They might do it. It's possible. You got to remember, they're contracted for 6 missions. So here's the reason why I think they'll shade that contract a little bit, and why I think Abhi is wrong. Abhi Tripathi was a Dragon engineer. He's a Crew Dragon engineer, ex-Crew Dragon engineer. He doesn't work at SpaceX anymore, but the guy helped design Crew Dragon. Here's the problem. Starliner is certified to fly on Atlas V in the N22 configuration. There's 6 Atlas Vs left slated for Starliner missions. There's 6 N22 Atlas Vs. The production line for Atlas Vs was shut down a long time ago. Well, I don't know when it was shut down, like a year and a half ago, right? There is only enough Atlases to deliver 6 Starliners for 6 contracted missions for Starliner. That's why I think the downtime is going to be a long time for us, but I do think the next Starliner flight will carry crew. The reason why is because guess what? You can't afford another test flight. There ain't enough Atlas Vs. Unless ULA shifts around some of the other Atlas Vs that are slated for other missions. The only Atlas Vs left are Atlas V 551s. There's 9 of them for Project Kuiper, right? Amazon owns 9 Atlas Vs, if you really want to know, or contracted launch for Atlas Vs. And then there's 6 N22s. So there's 15 Atlas Vs left. To my knowledge, there might be a couple more. Unless they can figure out a way to shift those around, you're going to have a bad day. The remaining Atlas Vs are all Atlas V 500 series, which is not certed to fly Starliner. You'd need an Atlas V 400 conic interstage adapter and a Atlas V 400 Centaur 3, which there's only 6 of those left. Yep. By the way, I can't currently use my Prime subscription to subscribe to you for this. Wrath out of me.
It's Taito time!
Hey, buddy.
Oh, you weren't very excited.
You scared the crap out of me. Sorry. Where are you, Taito?
This is space. I'm in space.
How you doing?
Hi. What, you playing with Mama?
How you doing, buddy?
Titan. Yes, these are goldfish. Oh, you came back over here real quick. Hey, sit. 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 Ah. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Yummy. Yummy. Yeah, you like the goldfish, don't you? We don't feed him goldfish all the time. It's just here every once in a while. Good boy. He's like, all right, I'm done with you. I got no more use for this guy.
Hey, Peyton, let's show him some tricks, okay? They don't watch music.
I'll answer more questions about Starliner in a second. Ethan gifted us up to Joho. Hey, you got gifted us up. Do you feed him koi? No.
Oh, man.
Feed him doggy treats.
Hey, Taito, get up. Yeah, good man.
One day he'll know pod chat, but I couldn't even get him to do it for hamburger today, so...
He would not work for meat.
Taito bear.
Titan. Yes.
What'd you find?
Yes, he's named Titan. Yes, it is after the
Is
missile.
it a toy? You found a toy?
No, I didn't name him that, believe it or not. I don't know if it's actually named after the missile. We just chose to keep that name because Titan missiles. Also, planet or moon. You get the idea. It's a good name.
All right.
How old is he, Brendan? He's around 2.
Yeah.
Around 2.
What's up, buddy? You done? You don't want to be here no more? All done? Okay.
You don't want to hang with Dad?
You can hang out more if you want.
Not during space news.
That's fair. All right.
Okay. We'll go inside then.
All right, baby.
I love you.
Love you too. See you, buddy. Oh, hey. Oh, no, he's gone. Yep. He's gone.
You want to say bye? No?
No, he wants to go back outside.
Oh.
I don't know, Hibbit, maybe. Phil, also to your knowledge, there's not enough AJ-60s left which are certified for crew missions. Yeah, you have bad supply line problems. There's not enough Atlas 5s, which is, once again, I think the next Starliner will fly crew, but it's going to be a second. It's not going to be in like 3 months or 4 months. And it's definitely not going to be on time. About a year. Like, because, once again, this is a very small problem that became a much bigger problem. Because it wasn't addressed right away. It's true. Dog hair. This small problem needs a big investigation because you had to go home with your proverbial tail between your legs because the dragon is moving Butch and Sunny back down in February. Right? Sorry if I was unclear. This is a technical problem I was telling EJ, not a cry for help situation. Have others reported this? Yeah, Joe, it happens. But, yeah, this chat just does this chat things. Mm-hmm. My cats have been called Neptune, Mars, Pluto, Saturn, Cosmo, Luna, and now George. That last one is not George. All right. Yeah, cool. Sweet. The sound before dog hair hits the ground. Yep. Isn't Starliner the crew's lifeboat in case they have to evacuate the space station in an emergency? Until Friday, Quag, sure. Mm-hmm. What would the crew do in case of emergency on the space station now that they are bringing Starliner back to Earth? The contingency there is get aboard Crew 8 if something goes wrong. Get aboard the Crew 8 Dragon. So there'd be 6 people and 4 seats on a Dragon. That is a nightmare scenario that NASA is trying to avoid big time. But yeah, that would be the solution there. Commercial crew, Boeing contract in green is mandatory. Government delivery milestone, page 391. Wrong. You stole fuzzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. I don't know what you want me to see here. It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. No, Nader, that's all right. Yeah, whatever. See last, please, if free. You told me that. But, okay. George was the name for the original Uranus, wasn't it? I don't know, Memento. Maybe. Fuzzy lifting drinks. We can call it that. It's fine. Certification requirement for Starliner is to support undocking and reentry and landing. You can read the objective. Forge, now is one of those times where I'm seriously doubting how much you understand about this. Okay, cool. Yeah, you got to follow through. So they do another uncrewed mission. Now you don't deliver on your 6 contracted missions. You deliver 5 instead. So what about that part of the contract where that says they need to do 6 missions? What about that part? We just got to wipe our butt with that part? El Troll. You're not doing very good at it. I have a rule about being good at that. Clean butt, though. They won't deliver them anyway on the current schedule to finish in 2031. The ISS will be dead by 2030. You speak with such certainty. It's very interesting to me that you could somehow predict the events 6 years down the road. What's the worst case scenario for Starliner's thrusters? Just not working, or are they at risk of RUD? The computer will shut them off, Swamper, before the computer, and this is what happened. The second it started detecting overheating on the thrusters, it disabled the thrusters. They can individually toggle thrusters. The computer shut them off. But the computer didn't catch one of them, and it started to break things. That's why they have the poppets are starting to degrade. The seals are starting to go. But it caught it before it happened. Apparently didn't catch it enough before it had problems with it. But the thing is that they don't know what else is wrong with that thruster now. There's no way you're going to ever know. That's what, that right there, there's no way you can prove it. That thruster is 100% good to go. There's no way. If the computer let one actually go, like if there were no controls, safety control systems on this, it would have blown up. Yeah, exploded. Apollo 13 style. Oh yeah. But the computer caught them. They're just seeing thrust degradation. Now, at the very minimal, what that means, what that means is, if you're seeing thrust degradation, that means the impulse of your thruster is not commanding what you want of it, so you're not going to fly on the right trajectory. And other thrusters might have to keep up, have to pick up more slack. But if they do, you run the risk of overheating those thrusters as well. Worst case scenario, you actually get stranded in space in the capsule. That's what NASA's trying to avoid. I could still assume it could still operate. It has 28 thrusters on it, Jack. Yeah, it can operate without it. But you don't know if what happened to this thruster is going to happen to another thruster. You don't know. There's no way to prove it. There's no way to prove it without getting hands on that service module, and you're not doing that. That's why this is such a complicated issue. Like I said, this is a small problem that became a very big problem very quickly. So what does Starliner do after the 6 missions? Hopefully get contracted to move people to commercial space stations in the future? Like those O-rings. Yeah, Perseus, the O-rings, this is I'm going to use an interesting choice of words here. The O-rings blew past testing, and when the O-rings had this failure mode all the way into operational missions. I'm happy that this thruster problem was caught now, because think about it, dudes. If it was caught during an operational mission instead, now you have 4 people to deal with. You can't just launch a Dragon with no people on it, right? Your ISS logistics becomes a lot more complicated here if there's 4 people on Starliner instead of 2. Think about it. I'm happy that they caught this in testing, but it should have been caught in testing a year ago at this time, and you never should have launched crew unless you were absolutely sure. Like, guys, I've seen things with the Starliner program that I'm not really happy with. Just the way they've talked about it. Like, for instance, they said that they got some really good data on seal degradation from a service module that was being used at White Sands Missile Range that they were using for testing. The reason why they had good data on seal degradation is because somebody left it sitting there with fuel inside of it, or at least fuel residue, which is that's a big no-no in space flight. That's a big no-no. That means there were hypergolic fumes in this service module that's just sitting out. That's a big no-no. Yeah, that's not good. Let me explain. Why is that not good? SpaceX had hypergolic residue in one of their capsules when they went to test it on a test stand a little while back, and it exploded. Yeah, that's I can think of one very good reason why that's not good. Also, apparently it degrades your poppet seals on your thrusters. Hypergols are very caustic stuff. It's not good for. They're not good for you. They're very bad. They degrade things over time. It's very clear. So why they had a flight service module just sitting there with hypergolic residuals in it is beyond me. What? Why? I also hear that the AI vision system that Starliner has is one of the reasons that the thrusters are overstressed. It's using them too much to station keep. That's a control system fix. Forge, just adjust your parameters on Vesta. Not a big deal. Do you think that seal degradation was noticed on the spare service module? Would affect a 6-month stay Starliner that was docked on a normal mission? No, probably not. They degrade your lungs, too. Hey, James, what's going on? Vega must be cursed or something. Due to electrical issues on the ground, VV-24 launch chronology was interrupted. Checks are being conducted to confirm a new launch attempt tomorrow at September 4th. Tomorrow, September 4th at 10:50 p.m. local time, Kourou. Well, Vega. All right. Big int. Working on some math homework, James? Good. At least they're checking the electrical this time. Yep. That being said, why couldn't they launch an empty? If you need ballast, you could send up water. Always a need for that, and people are mostly water bags anyway. You could, if they wanted to contract Starliner 1 for just a resupply mission. Yeah, maybe. That actually, I wouldn't rule that one out. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't rule that one out completely. But once again, that means you have less personnel on the station, and we only have a finite window of time on the space station before they decide to space station it. So if NASA is willing to trade that for the next 5 flights, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that's probably right. You know, that's probably what they'll do. Yeah. I feel like I remember hearing this all started when they took manual control when docking and the thrusters fired more than expected. Is there a chance Blitz or Sonny overdid it or something? Possible. Yeah, sure. But, Dean, yeah, that's possible. But the whole point of manual control, right? The whole point of testing the manual control for Starliner at that particular moment is in case of emergency. So you don't want to be satisfied with the thrusters blowing out due to an increased duty cycle because of an emergency. The last thing you need is something going very wrong with Starliner, and then you having to take manual control and firing its thrusters to put it into a safe spot, or safe state, I should say, and blowing out your thrusters because of that. That's a compounding failure. That is how people die in spaceflight. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, no, bad idea. See what I'm talking about? This is why. This is a small problem that now it's a very big problem because you decided to put people on it. That's a really bad idea. Good question, though. The context was Dragon, but yeah, Starliner is a good option. Oh, yeah, talking about moving 4 people. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. But now your station is going to operate for... You're extending crew stays on the space station, which probably shouldn't be doing that. You could, though. I mean, like what they're doing right now. Side note, Vega that you're saying is technically a Franken-Vega. The 4th stage that was scheduled to support this mission was left outside and somehow got misidentified and sent to the junkyard and got crushed. The Vega 1 you see now has a 4th stage from Vega C. Oh, let's just change the configuration for a rocket that's already having configuration change problems. Let's just change it more. Nothing bad will happen. I think Bob and Doug did manual control for Dragon for part of their approach. They did. Yes, they did. And the thrusters didn't have problems, people, because Draco thrusters are a good design. Draco thrusters were specifically designed for a Dragon capsule. That's it. They were designed for that, and that's why they work so well with Dragon, because they were designed for it. Starliner's thrusters were designed for the space shuttle, and when they proposed Starliner, they said, oh, let's just take a shuttle ohms pod and make it cylindric and put it on the back of the capsule. This thing. Here, look, this thing. See this thing right here? Starliner service module is that in cylindric form. Actually, not that one, to be 100% real. It's, it would be the shuttle forward RCS. It's that right there. The shuttle, not a lot of people know that the shuttle's forward, this block here on the front of the shuttle. See this piece right there? This piece can be taken off. That is, the shuttle had basically 3 service modules on it. 2 of them were ohms pods in the back, right? And then the 3rd one was up front, in front of the crew tank. There's a huge bulkhead right here to prevent people being near the propellants. And this piece can actually be removed. The hoisting point for it, you can actually see it. It's right there. And see these thrusters, particularly those ones right there, and that one right there, same exact thing as Starline. Same thing. Yeah, same thruster.
Titan
treats. Lab state. Whoa! Titan treats, $54. Thank you very much. Starliner's service module is that, but cylindric. It's the same thing. Guys, it's almost the exact same design from what I can tell. Obviously, it's adapted a little bit to work in a cylindric configuration instead of that nose cone-ish configuration. This is from like a model, but it's the same idea. The reason why the whole thing is removable is because it needed to be fueled separately. And the idea was that you just make a bunch of these, and when a shuttle's ready to fly, you just have a bunch of them fueled up, ready to go. You click it in, and then you move it to the launch pad. You click it in fully fueled. Yeah. How come the forward RCS worked so well, but Starliner doesn't? Pandaroo, it's because the clusters of thrusters are a lot more tightly packed. That's the honest truth. They're a lot more tightly packed. There's only 4 or 5, but there's 5 thrusters there, 3 there, 3 there. And they're all inside of a bigger space, right? See right there? If you really want to know what it comes down to, the clusters of thrusters are a lot smaller. Now, compare that with Starliner. Here, I'll show you. That's the doghouse for Starline. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Actually, 4. No, hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty correct. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one right there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I think there's another one right there in a newer design. You have all of these thrusters operating in very, 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 a very tight spot. That's a picture of the thruster blocks. There's 4 of them. Long story short, the clusters of thrusters are way smaller. Yeah. Yeah, see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's not completed. That's not fully complete yet, but that's a test. That's from some test footage. That's the problem. They clustered the thrusters too much. Yeah. And once again, this is all very easy to say in hindsight, right? It's all very easy to say that, you know, oh, your thrusters are overheating in that cluster. It's easy to say that in hindsight. But here's the thing. We didn't need the benefit of hindsight because it did that on a previous flight, and they were just like, all right. But it did it at a different phase of the mission. Did it at the very end of the mission, which is very interesting. Like I said, guys, people are going to study this. Future aerospace engineers will study this as a case study into not leaving any stone unturned when you go to test things. This will be taught. This will be taught in the history books for good engineering analysis in the future. I guarantee you that. Yep. This is an example of letting a small problem slide and then it cascading into a much bigger problem because you allowed it to slide. But isn't the point of testing so you'd rather it go wrong here, right? Of course, Jack. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy that they caught it right now. Like I said, if this was on an operational mission, you'd be stranding 4 people instead of just 2. That complicates the ISS logistics more than it's already complicated. It complicates the logistics even more. Let me put it to you like that. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that much more risk than what's going on right now, but now you're screwing up a lot of stuff in terms of ISS logistics. Moving 2 is already bumping it, but that's the safest way to do it. Weather's not being a friend for Polaris Dawn right now. Not looking good for a flight before 39A handover date to Europa Clipper. RIP. But yeah, Jack, here's the thing. It's not good testing if you test once, it does it, and then you say, nah, it's fine. That's not good testing. That's terrible testing. That's what led us to stuff like Challenger in Columbia. Which is why I'm still happy they caught it in testing, but also at the same time, how did you move to putting people on this if you knew this behavior could happen? Like, I wouldn't have let this thing fly if I knew that the thruster blocks could overheat. Why would you do that? Now, Frank and Vega confirmed launch for Sentinel-2C. Yeah, no, not really. But here's the thing, guys. This is another thing to take into account. Look, man, and this is something that I didn't get until I went back and watched this over the weekend when I was trying to go to sleep. They said that it happened at a different phase in the mission. A different phase in Starliner's mission. It happened at the very end. And this one happened during docking. That didn't happen last time, right? So what's the difference? What's the difference? Well, 1, people on board. And 2, nothing. Those service modules should be the same. This is why this small problem now is a big problem, right? That's the right way to say it. It's a small problem that because you let it slide, now it's a big problem. Now you're getting into a potential processing problem. Was this service module assembled in the exact same way as the last one? If it was, what's the difference? There's got to be a difference. Now, somebody asked in chat, well, maybe it's because the astronauts put too much pressure on it. Well, that's a control system problem, right? That would be a controls problem, in which case your thrusters should have been designed for the worst case scenario to begin with. And they're not. clearly. So, yes, this problem did happen in a different phase in the mission, and now it's happening. It happened during the end of the mission, and now it's on OFT2, and now it's happening at the during the mission, which is not good. But also, it's a hard problem to figure out because now that opens up quality problems. You're opening up the door to quality problems because if it didn't happen at this phase of the mission last time, well, what are you doing different? What did you change? Now you have to go see all the things that you changed between OFT2 and CFT1. You have to go through and you have to review the entire change log for the last, 2 years. Somebody gave Stolfar a sub. All right. Now you have to review all that. And that's really, that's what's going to take time. So like I said, this small problem is now a big problem. Because this could potentially be quality. Somebody could have tightened a bolt too much. The control systems, if you had any software changes to how you manually fly, now you got to go through the entire change log. Once again, I think it's a controls problem, to be honest. You should not, full stop. You should not be having hardware design problems at this phase in your engineering, your systems engineering. You should not. This problem should not be happening right now, right? You're exposing a potential, hopefully it's a control systems problem because exposing a potential design flaw here is bad. That's really bad, right? But they did say, Mark Nappy did say that their thermal model wasn't right. So they were expecting the hardware to work in a certain way and it didn't, which means, you know what? You didn't test your hardware good enough. But also, they blew out a thruster on OFD2. See what I mean, dude? This whole thing, you know what you're doing? Like, I don't want to say, I keep saying it's inexperience, but also, yeah, I mean, it is to an extent, but why are you okay? What was the thought process leading up to this? Clearly, Steve Stitch at NASA, the head of the Commercial Crew Program, has said that the process needs to be reviewed for thruster acceptance. So, if a change in your controls problem, if a change in your control systems and the manual control is what caused your thrusters to overheat because of your bad thermal model, you got some, that's a big problem. It's a big problem, and it's a big problem that should have been caught a long time ago when it was a small problem. Guys, the more I think about this, it is an experience to an extent. I mean, when you fired all the people that worked on the thrusters to begin with, they probably could have told you they'd overheat if you clustered them like that. But also, no, it's not Forge. It's Friday. So manufacturing errors. It's possible, Bear. And see, here's what I mean. Okay, you guys remember a second ago, I was talking about Starliner, that extra service module that they had lying around White Sands, how they had crap in it, and because they went and tried to use that service module for testing, and they found that they didn't evac it correctly, and they saw seal degradation because of the propellant, because they left residual propellants inside, which, once again, big no-no. I know that you shouldn't do that. I know enough about spaceflight to know you don't do that. You don't leave hypergalls inside of a service module that you're not using. The only time hypergalls should be inside of there should be when it's up in space or being fueled to go up into space. So they found residual in a service module that they weren't using, and they saw seal degradation from sitting there, which tells, what was this service module supposed to be there for? What? Is that a flight service module? God, I hope not. Right? Was that a leftover one from testing? If it's leftover from testing, why wouldn't you evac hypergalls out of it? What are you going to do with that thing? See what I mean? There's just red flag after red flag here. And Bearer said, that's what I mean. What are you going to do with that extra service module? Is it a test article? What service module were you using here? You know not to... There's residual inside of it. Why would you leave residual inside of it? Why would you do that? You should never do that. That's like leaving gas in a car and then letting it sit for 5 years and then hoping it's going to start again. That's what I mean. They just left the service module out and just, yeah, all right, whatever. No, not, yeah, right, whatever. No. You know, that tells me that if you're not, like, okay, look, this is a little bit of a stretch on my part. I'll admit it. If you just left that service module out, even if it's a test article or not, if you're treating your acceptance testing and you're just testing hardware like that, what the hell are you doing with your flight hardware? And that's what I mean. That's why this problem is such a big problem now, because now you have to review your QA and acceptance testing too. Because if the hardware design from OFT2 to CFT1 is the same and you change something else, or you change the way you assembled it, now you're opening up the door to, yeah, somebody broke a thruster or somebody snapped a bolt or something and then replaced it, etc., etc. Like, you're opening up yourself to a multitude of quality assurance problems here. You know, not necessarily manufacturing, I don't think, Bear, but it could be. It's possible. You don't know. You gotta prove it. Starliner doesn't exist in my world. It's a figment of people's imagination. It doesn't exist. I mean, dude, I've been saying it's inexperience, but from what I'm hearing, inexperience will only get you so much good grace here. Like, it's only going to get you so much good grace. The more and more I see this, the more and more I'm like, why would you do that? And look, man, if a moron like me can figure this stuff out, like, what's going on for the people in the loop? Like, how did you not see this stuff? It's pretty straightforward, unless I'm missing something completely, which is possible. Like, I'm not infallible. What I say isn't end-all, be-all, but still. It's many things. Boeing's quality management system is in tatters. Dish, yeah, like I said, they had an extra service module that they said, Mark Nappy said it was just laying outside. That's because they had an extra SM that they said was left over or something, and they said they've been testing on that, and they said it gave them a lot of good data because they left it fueled? What? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's really stupid. Why would you do, unless I'm missing something completely? Why would you do that? You're also then passing your mess ups on to other cruising companies that dedicate time for 2 years training for a specific mission and they get booted off. Yeah, you're causing ripple effects in ISS logistics, no, but yeah, absolutely. Like, what do you mean you just left it outside? What? I'm sorry, that, like, what? Like, I don't mean to draw the line at leaving the service module outside, but if you're leaving, like, high fidelity test articles outside, or just even inside, fully fueled, what the actual like, what? Why would it? No, there's no reason to ever do that. There's no reason to ever do that. Just left it outside with hypergolics in it. Not even just hypergolic. They left it with hypergolic residue, they said. So, bro, I mean, you know that hypergols are going to degrade seals. Why did you leave the residue in there? What if someone's walking past it and it just starts to leak? You could kill someone instantly. This is what I mean. This isn't me being like, oh my God, well, why don't they just do this? That's like spaceflight safety 101. And it's not like OSHA safety either. This is like something you should do so you don't kill someone. Like, Anybody out there that works in the aerospace industry, tell me what you know what I mean. You got to clean bottles. You have to purge bottles, and you have to clean, and then you have to verify and tag that they're clean. That's what COPV is. That's like COPV acceptance, guys. Like, you have to clean it. You cannot just leave stuff in it. That is awful for it, because you're introducing failure modes that could cause a cascading ripple effect like this. Can we stop saying it's inexperience now? Like I said, it's with the information presented, it's increasingly difficult to say that it's this, that it's that. It's just harder to say it. Residue, meaning they did try to empty it but didn't manage it properly. Guys, cleaning out COPVs and hypergolic systems when you're not using it is spaceflight 101. I know to do that, and I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. Every step has to be documented. Initial installations, potential non-conformance, rework, removal, reinstallation, all of it needs a paper trail. Dude, I don't. How, Dish, in what scenario do you have hypergolic residue? Hypergolic residue inside of any spaceflight hardware after it's been defueled that's a huge red flag. That's like smoking at a gas station red flag. Like, and once again, you know I'm like kind of laissez-faire about safety as long as you understand the risks involved. But there's taking risks and there's just being completely stupid. Yeah, Tessa. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say the second I heard that they had blown out thrusters on OFT2, that's the second I kind of pivoted from inexperience to you guys really don't know what you're doing here. Like, there's wanting to do a good job, and then there's just like, yeah, no, this is inexperience, it's not. This is beyond inexperience. This is just, what are you doing? See last from B-Dub. Oh, we're home. Had to stop and eat at Grandma's. All right, V-Dub. I'm glad you guys got home. Good. I miss you guys. To the next time. The lack of experience is a valid point. The pandemic saw 50% of long-term employees take early retirement. Boeing's biggest problem with the workforce is all the tribal knowledge that walked out the door in 2019 to 2021. Dish, I was saying, I didn't know that. I was saying, the inexperience, my biggest impetus for saying inexperience is because these thrusters, this thruster block, in the context of the thrusters, right? In the context of the doghouse, these thruster blocks are derived from the space shuttle, right? So anybody that knew anything about the technical side of things, the technician side of things, so like actually putting these together and actually like outfitting them and documenting that process from the shuttle era is long gone. Long gone. Right? I wasn't even taking into account COVID. I didn't even know that. Like, no, Hellfish, I believe Dish when he says it, dude. Trust me. I didn't even take that into account. I was saying inexperience because all the people that worked on, Starliner is shuttle derived, whether you like it or not. It's shuttle derived, and all the people that worked on the components during the shuttle era are long gone. Like, long gone. Yeah, I would officially kind of join this is like, what are you doing? Do you guys know what's going on here or not? Dear me, but try not to get us. All right, what do we got here? Mark Nappy has 33 actions we need to complete. This is from July 25th, okay? We had thrusters we thought were healthy. We then said, let's take the time and run testing at White Sands, then do on-site testing, then come home. Have a service module exposed to propellant for 3 years. We did leak checks, exposed to NTO for a while, and found... Yeah, he did say that. He did say that. But see this? This is not a good thing. Was a good data point, and we could capture a worst case leak rate. See this? This right here? Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I know, Dish. Yeah, we know about the whole McDonnell Douglas thing. Like, just this is not a good thing. Like that. There was an article that a Boeing whistleblower talking about how they ran off the technical people on purpose and started cutting corners and silencing those that protested. I think they just canned all the technicians because the technicians worked on the shuttle, and then they decided to. What I've been saying this entire time is they fired all the people that knew how to put these trusses together on the shuttle, and then hired new people when Starliner came around. And the inexperience is the difference here. And I would have said that basically up until the point where they blew out thrusters on OFT2 and nobody had the wherewithal to say, hey, we should probably figure that one out before we put people on it. No one? Nothing? Okay. You never hear from Chris Ferguson anymore. That's right. You never do. Yeah, like I said, this will be studied. This will be studied in engineering classes in the future as pretty much a manual for how you shouldn't do this. Which, I feel like we have a lot of those, but hey, any opportunity to learn. Then there's a back wave maneuver to separate the service module from the capsule and fire it again for disposal. We'll do a check this weekend on the helium leach. Would need to be something diabolical to disrupt that. I don't know what the context of this is and what we're saying, Forge, but all right. Yeah, dude. Like I said, I would have chalked it up to inexperience, but it's very quickly moving to mismanagement. And maybe the people that are managing it are inexperienced. And guess what? That's a management issue, right? Because somebody had to put these people in place, and they had to put it in place. They put them in place on the so-called premise of merit, which obviously is not a thing. So, yeah, not good.
Discovery,
yeah,
go and throttle up.
Man, I hear you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. Dude, I've been trying to give them as much of the benefit of the doubt as I possibly could. But, dude, they're sitting there. There's Walter Cronkite's coverage of Vietnam post-Tet 1968, or pre-Tet 1968 and post-Tet 1968. At some point, you got to be like, okay. Something's funky here. Something is funky. Right? I don't want to jump on that ship. This is being run by morons. I don't want to jump on that ship unless I'm absolutely sure, because that's a hell of a claim to make, especially when you're in my position, where people listen to you. You've got to be careful about that. You could ruin your journalistic integrity like that, which not many people seem to be preoccupied with nowadays, but I'm not them. I can only speak for myself regarding this, right? We're supposed to be listening. You don't have to. If I'm your background noise, then whatever. Blah 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 wumbo wumboing blah 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 I wumbo you wumbo he she they wumbo wumboing wumbo wumbology the study of wumbo journalistic and what now yeah. Hi, space truckers. Hi, space news. In the 70s, they started that can't smoke around gasoline. Oh, yeah, that was weird, huh? Hard to believe you're a tall person? What do you mean, me? What do you mean, Cal? How's that hard to believe? When did you learn to speak Polish? Oh, jeez. No, space truckers. No, space news. No, I'm busy. Get out of here. You're a foot taller than me. I'm just making fun. Hey. Yeah. Look at your boy. What do you want to do, huh? What do you want to do? What do you want to do, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. What do you want to do, huh? What do you want to do? What do you want to do, huh? What do you want to do? Just measured it. You're 4 inches tall. Your mom's 4 inches tall. Roasted. Slimbo, 49 months. Thank you very much. Hey, Kenny. Ken, what's going on? Yeah. That background gives no perspective. Okay, here's some perspective. Everybody knows this. If you don't know what this is, you're watching the wrong stream. Okay? All right, ready? Oh, yeah. I got big hands, and I'm going to dance. Yeah, if you're watching this stream and you don't know what this is, you probably shouldn't be here. Games machine. Oh, man. You're making me so angry. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Do I have anything else? Oh, here. All right. Here's an actual gaming machine. Look. Da, 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 da. You could play Doom on it. You could play GTA on this game's machine. Anyway. I don't know nothing about computers. My mom got one, put a couple games on it. You need a Pepsi can. I think I threw away all the soda cans that I had here. I actually cleaned up for a change. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway. I mean, Wizard, you know, you ain't wrong. No slide rule? I don't have a slide rule, believe it or not, no. All right. Well, yeah, good conversation. It ended up talking about, you know, red flags with the Starliner program, but, you know, it's good. It's good. It's fine. It'll be fine. Sentinel 2C was supposed to go in about 2 hour 45, but yep, Vega decided it wanted to be vacant. What was this second paragraph here? from this Forge. EuropeanSpaceflight.com. All right. The final launch of an Avio rocket may have already taken place. Tomorrow's launch will feature the first and only mission launched aboard the lesser-known Franken Vega. In late 2023, European Spaceflight reported that Avio had managed to lose 2 of 4 propellant tanks needed for the fourth stage of its final Vega rocket. The tanks were later found destroyed in a landfill, prompting Italian rocket maker Avio to begin looking for an alternative solution for the tanks, which were no longer being produced. Avio explored 2 possible options: use tanks from the rocket's qualification phase before its inaugural flight in 2012, or modify the stage with elements of the Vega C Avum Plus upper stage. Late last month, Stefan Israel, the CEO of Arianespace, the current operator of the Vega rocket, declined to comment on which of the 2 solutions have been implemented. Neither Avio nor the ESA have been more forthcoming with information regarding the makeup of the upper stage being used for the final Vega flight. A source speaking to European Spaceflight has confirmed that the option of the refurbishing qualification tanks was rejected. As a result, Vega upper stage being utilized for launch of the EU Sentinel-2C Earth observation satellite features at least some elements from a Vega C upper stage, according to a source. Careful. An Avum Plus upper stage that has been earmarked for a future Vega C flight was cannibalized for the parts needed for the Franken stage. Guys, do you remember, like a second ago, like when I said that, you know, leaving a service module, like partially fueled, just sitting there for like 3 years is a big red flag in your operations process? Like a big red flag? Like a big red flag? Do you remember that time where I was reading that European Spaceflight article and they decided to cannibalize a stage to modify another stage to put it on top of a rocket that already has a shaky launch cadence and borderline terrible operational reliability? Yeah. Big red flag. Big red flag. Yep. Also, the reason why they had to do that is because they threw the tanks that they were going to use for this rocket in the trash. Big red flag. Big red flag. Yeah, nope, that's, yep. I don't like any of this. Any of this in this article, that, yep, nope. 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 Yeah, this part right here. The tanks were later found destroyed in a landfill. What operations process are you using that even allowed that to happen? Yeah. Red flag. Not cool. Yeah, I don't like that. That's not good. Oh. Yeah, they threw away some tanks for the rocket. They found them in the trash. You know, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. We sit here and we're dumping on Boeing. That is worse. Finding flight hardware in the trash. SpaceX labels some of their test articles "do not scrap," and that seems a little bit less silly now. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, what's this, Hell Hydra? 45-second video, Tech Tuesday from the NRO. What do we got?
The length of the film path from each supply assembly through each camera system and into the first recovery vehicle is almost 100 feet. Each supply assembly provides 150,000 feet of film to each camera at controlled constant velocities of up to 70 inches per second under specified tension.
Yes, inches per second. Nice.
Looper assembly in each film path serves as the interface between the coarse and fine film transport systems and allows the total length of the film stored in it to be constant. This enables the fine film transport system to supply film at speeds up to the 200 inches per second required at the camera's focal plane. The length.
Cool. They're talking about old reconnaissance satellites. The ones that use film. And then when it's out of film, it poops out the film in a little capsule that they pick up by a helicopter. True story. I don't know what it is, but it's shuttle payload base shaped. It is shuttle payload base shaped. You're not wrong. What is this? Our superconducting plasma rocket in action. This is operating inside our own vacuum chamber and test facilities using 20 superconducting coils we designed and built ourselves, and features a custom heaterless hollow cathode. How are you testing that in a vacuum chamber? Bruh. Okay. 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 Cool. Plasma thruster. Neat. That's pretty cool. Where's this coming from? Dr. Jamal Alatunji, Senior Research Engineer, Robinson Research Institute, Applications of Superconductivity in Space. Cool. All right. That's pretty neat. Yeah, that's pretty rad. Yeah, I don't hate that. I read recently that there were digital photography satellites to accompany those spy satellites to check for weather cloud coverage before they used film over a certain area. Probably get better resolution, Bill. That looks suspiciously electron payload sized. I don't know what you're talking about. What's this next bit? So many cool things here in this short time lapse. A cosmonaut turns off the lights inside a Soyuz. The lights of San Francisco reflect off of the Soyuz solar arrays before we see San Francisco. Different layers of the atmosphere are seen in green and orange. Milky Way. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's see what we got. Bruh. That's pretty cool. Well, that's pretty neat. I'm just looking at the map. I'm looking at this. Yeah, the atmosphere. Yep. I'm looking for the bay. Where's the bay? I think it's right there. And I think the Golden Gate Bridge is right there, and that's the Marne Headlands right there, and then Oakland right here. Am I looking at that right? It's hard to see from the exposure from the lights. But that would mean that San Jose is over here. Fremont's over here. Or no, Fremont. I don't know. Huh. That would mean that that's Bakersfield right there. And Lompok's over here. That's Los Angeles. And San Diego's over there. There's Coronado Bay. I think. That looks right. Inland Empire. Yeah, I think I got this right. That would mean that's Las Vegas right there. I thought it was on the left. Yeah. Unless I'm misunderstanding scale here. I don't know. It's hard to say from this picture.
So if that's Vegas, that's got to be Phoenix over there. And then Tucson should be below that over there. That means we should be flying. Oh, this is Utah right here, I think. That means Denver should be right. Yep, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's Denver, Colorado Springs, which means this is Cheyenne up here. I think I'm looking at this right. I'm not sure what that would be. I'm kind of losing my geography because we're going backwards. We're going backwards across the United States from west to east. Which means if that's Denver, that means that's Texas. That's Dallas, Fort Worth over there. That means that's El Paso over there. Looks more like this view. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You can almost tell with the Great Plains start because of the lights. Yeah, exactly. See how it's dark right here? That's all mountains. Right? Like Aspen is over here. Lake Tahoe's over there somewhere. Actually, I think you can see Lake Tahoe right there. If I'm looking at that right. Or no, Tahoe would be over here, next to Reno. Now I'm getting confused. No, wait, that means that has to be Sacramento. Which still, yep, that's Vegas, which means Reno's over here somewhere. I'm sorry, like looking at this upside down is really screwing with me. Either way, great shot from Matt. That's awesome. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, straight lines are hundreds of miles. That's definitely the Great Plains. We're definitely over the Great Plains, which is why I'm pretty sure that's Denver over there. You were right, Tahoe's off the solar panel? Oh, hell yeah. St. Louis, maybe? It's too far north to be St. Louis. All right. I had Google Earth open, all right. Hang on. So in this shot, he's going across the U.S. like this. So he goes this way.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
What big city do we go over this way? Could be Minneapolis. Yeah, that's my guess. It's probably Minneapolis. But then again, shouldn't there be a lake? Oh, no, not necessarily. Yeah, because he's going that way. Well, Salt Lake City would be back a little ways, guys. Salt Lake would be over here somewhere. I'm just trying to pick out places. This is a really awesome shot. So if Denver's right there, that's definitely Denver because you could see it up against the mountains. See? Salt Lake City should be just backwards a little. Yeah, that's Salt Lake City right there. So that means Tahoe is back over here somewhere. There we go. Sorry, looking at it upside down was really messing with me there. Yeah, see, you could see the outline of Salt Lake. Salt Lake City is between the Great Salt Lake and a mountain range. See the mountain range right there? If you look at it on the Google Earths, there's your mountain range and there's your Salt Lake. See what I'm talking about? It's like a strip. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just so used to looking at the map this way. But that is consistent with an ISS track.
it would be going like that, which makes perfect sense. That's actually, it would be more like this. Somewhere. Yeah, that's about right. It's actually kind of low. It would be like that, guys, actually, to be honest. Your azimuth would be more like this. Which does make sense. Yep. Cool. I knew I left Google Earth open for a reason. All right. Reddit is reporting that apparently there's a KSP update being pushed through Steam that is breaking ground. Uh-oh. It's the natural gas fields in North Dakota? I'd believe that. Do not update KSP. Repeat, do not update KSP. Okay. Can we just choose to not update it? Damn it. Back up your saves. Yep. I am doing that right now. Back up the whole dang thing. Okay. Yeah. There you go. I backed up everything. If you move the KSP folder somewhere else, it won't update and you can just launch the exe. Okay. Steam mandates updates because of some Counter-Strike patch stuff. It's very frustrating stuff. For me, best you do is update it on launch. Lockheed automatic ground collision avoidance system save somebody again. Wow. Yeah, that's almost death. Quote from the discussion about the patch. Patch deleted everything in the Breaking Ground DLC except for one rotational servo PNG. Why am I laughing? I hate this. So, what did they change, fellas?
Who pushed this patch? What was the point of this update? See last. Did you get to watch Zach's new video yet? No, I haven't. I haven't watched it yet. Give me a moment to back it up and I'll see. Seems like Valve auto update misconfig. Auto update? If it's an auto update, who's there to fix this update? Uh-oh. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying nothing. You haven't watched Zach's video? What? I haven't watched it yet, James. No. To be honest, I haven't fired up KSP in probably 6 months. Yep. Well, we'll see what's going on. I'm telling you, stuff like that makes me really not want to hit that play button either, Jim. I'm not going to lie to you. Permission to link a little funny. Yeah, go ahead, man. What's wrong with KSP? So Valve, I guess, pushed an auto update patch, John, and it broke KSP. Well, the updated folder is 500 megabytes smaller than the backup. Yeah, fellas, I gotta see. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to jump to conclusions. I'll get the mat out. But if this breaks KSP, then what? Who's gonna fix it? That's my big thing. Who's going to fix it? Why? Modders? I mean, Valve will likely do a rollback. Wait, KSP1 though, why is that even being patched? Yep, because it's a Valve auto update, so Linux will fix it, yep. Oh dear. Yep, deletes the Serenity folder from the Squad expansion folder, which is the Breaking Ground expansion. According to the package list, it was updated by KSP team. Have you seen the new season of Rings of Power? I don't even know what that is, Ragger, to be honest with you. No, I have not. I mean, Jared, you know, you're making a joke, but that's pretty much not far off what happens. Freaking nightmare. This is a nightmare.
Just byte for byte, that's all the patch does, delete breaking ground. Why would they do that? Breaking ground is all the robotic parts for... Licensing? I don't know, yeah. Definitely Esteem things. All these change sets affect tens of thousands of apps and hundreds of thousands of packages. If you backed up the game files, you should be able to play full working version. Yeah, Joe, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that, but yeah. What I'm worried about is that if, you know, people are going to see me play KSP1, they're going to see me play KSP1 with an outdated version, and they're going to go download it, and they'll download a version whilst advertising, you know? Actually, since KSP2, I'm very careful about this stuff. Just check my KSP. It updated in the background. Breaking Grounds is dead. Most of my crafts are cause KSP to crash. Yeah, what I'm really trying to figure out at this point, guys, is if it's just a Valve database update or if they pushed this. If whoever, I don't know who would. I don't know who would push something like that for KSP. Oh, okay, Ragger. Yeah, I got you. There are recorded updates for packages against KSP, but also for many games, released as a single change set. What does that mean, dude? Okay, Tessa. They just pushed another change set. Yeah, right. Nice, nice, nice. Hard to write it out in text. Okay. Jump on, go into channel 1 on Discord. I'll drag you into the Steam room. There's a change push that applied to all these games. Yeah. I'm curious. I want to learn. If you can, Phenomenon, if you can. I know it's early over there. Clock. I'm on the clock. Okay, never mind then. Don't worry about it. Looks like it's fixed now. All right, as long as it's fixed. It's Valve pushing an update affecting thousands of different apps. There was, however, another one affecting KSP just 1 minute ago. Okay. It was just a scare. All right, false alarm. All right, we're good. I was getting a little worried there for a second. It's fixed. It was a Valve Steam mass update mess up. All right, cool.
I just want to sit here and look at this Blorgen second stage. Well, it looks like I'm hiring again. If you want to work on the next layer of operations enabling orbital infrastructure, hit me up. Cool. That's Dawn Aerospace. Neat, neat, neat. Oh, that's so freaking cool, dude. That goes for auto backing up persistent. Yep. Hey, Drool. 46-month resub. Thank you very much. Looks like they wound up reverting a few other 1,000 apps too. Boy. All right, Sun Temple. See you, buddy. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. I just thought of a really interesting way to play KSP. Guys, you know what would be super interesting, right? If we make a bunch of I-beams that fit in the game, right? Like, you know, I've talked about making like a Launchpad parts pack, right? But what if we took the parts pack and exported take a bunch of parts, drag them into a Unity scene, select all of them, and export the parts pack as like an MU, right? You could build it and you could use your parts pack to build in Unity and then export. This is a complete subject change, by the way. Sorry. You could use your parts pack to build the structure in Unity and then import it right into KSP, and it would be made out of KSP parts, but it wouldn't be. It would be a lot stronger. That's exactly what I've been doing with all my Starship infrastructure. Yeah, building it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was just linked a second ago, Aqualux. Yeah, super cool though. Oh, no, this is a different thing. Yeah, awesome. Hot fire testing. Yeah, baby. Also lowering part count. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dark side. Exactly. It's not a bad idea. So basically doing what Part Welder does, but on our own. Yep. Yeah, exactly. We make enough parts. If I make enough I-beams and gussets and stuff, yeah, you just build whatever. I've been making sure it works normal in stock, then do it to reduce part count so I don't feel like I'm cheating. Joe, that's a good idea. Yeah. Lowering part count, but not necessary colliders. Yep, exactly. Interesting. It's actually not a bad way of doing that. Yeah, you build it in Unity. And then build it in the SPH. First, build sub-assemblies in Unity. That's a good idea. Curious. Anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought of it looking at this picture, believe it or not, because that is a cut down piece of the transporter erector. It's a smaller TE that's designed to integrate to the pad that Blue cooked up here, but it also can be moved via the same transport mechanism as the whole stack transporter erector. See, it looks like it's the transporter erector that holds the whole rocket, but it's just the bottom part. The top part is missing because it's just a second stage test article. Or just build the sub-assemblies in the SPH and use the welding mod, same effect. Okay, Ramadan, I got you. Hey, Louie, what's going on? That's a beautiful stage. Grav, that stage should be on top of SLS.
Should be on top of SLS. Vega got pushed to tomorrow. Yeah, it started electrical. They had electrical problems. It's been a wild few months, but I'm doing all right. How have you been doing? I'm all right. Not bad. Here, check this out. You know what they should do with Blorgen's second stage? So you have your SLS core stage, right? And then you have your SRBs on the sides. Like that. Please excuse the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to build it to scale or to paint it. Then you have your inner stage, right? You know, your SRBs attach right there, right? You have your inner stage, right? This is the H2, and then, yay, all right. Happy face. Right? And then up here, right? Up there, you have a 10-meter fairing. Like that. You know, that comes to a point, right? And then inside of the 10-meter fairing, so you have a conic ISA going from 8.4 to 7 meter. You have your Blorgen second stage tank like this. And then you have a load reactor like Atlas V. Like that. And then you have your payload on top of that. Yep. Atlas 551 SLS. Yeah. That'd work. It'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good idea. LH3. Sure. Yeah. That's fine. Please excuse the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to build the scale or to paint it. Or you could do an 8.4 meter fairing, right? And then have a forward load reactor and then the universal stage adapter sitting on top of it. That would be awesome. They should have done that. That would have been amazing. So you could launch it with a cargo fairing or with Orion. Yep. I like that idea. I'm a genius. My genius knows no bounds. Anyway, all right, guys, coming up on 8 o'clock. That was a good bit of space news. Oh, well, you pulled through. You'll be all right. You made it this far. If you're going through hell, just keep going. All right. Is that the payload adapter up top? No, maybe a test article payload adapter, not the actual one. We've seen the actual one in Tim's video. It's not the end of the stream, Louie. Not the end of the stream, buddy. We still going. Face the wall, comrade. We could wrench or we could play workers. What do you guys want to do? One last bit if you want to see a prototype rocket plane in flight. Careful, loud. Nah, I'm good. We'll save that for tomorrow. Workers. Wrench. Stick to the workers plan? Okay. We'll wrench for after hours tomorrow.